Let me just check everything
Yeah,
to
I'm gonna
make
check on my
sure.
phone to make sure everything's going smooth. Um,
Oh wow, I literally have two
yeah, I see
streamers.
that now.
Right, okay, I
Yeah,
think I'm live.
yeah,
I
yeah, you're
literally
live.
have two.
Yeah, I see that now.
Right, yeah, it's good. Hello, everybody. I completely messed that. Hello, everybody. Me, the Horror Universe here. Today, I'm joined by a special guest.
Jaheim Brisbane, owner of
Yep,
JTG Studios. You guys call me Ja. Um, we are discussing unmade Halloween scripts today slash movies.
that is right. We're gonna be going over Halloween Retribution.
Halloween
Uh,
Returns and Halloween 3D.
yep. Now, I'm gonna let Ja go center stage for this because he knows more about these than I do, surprisingly.
So
And
without further ado, I shall take it from here briefly. So let's start off by talking Halloween Retribution, the unmade sequel to Halloween Resurrection. Now, the leaked script that was leaked a while ago is dated 2004 and was created and written by John Keebleton and uh, one second, Duty Appleton and Jim Keeble. Correction, there we go. And the draft is dated in 2004 of February 20th. Now, of course, the script opens up with a flashback showing us Kid Michael Myers in Smith's Grove in 1964. We get to meet Michael once again as a kid and learn more about his past as we get introduced to two new characters, Nurse Spence and Dr. Hill. Within the time we see the flashback take place, we get a little bit more background on how Smith's Grove handled their patients. Starting off, we get many shots of other doctors tending to patients within the facility, as well as seeing Michael, who's in a straitjacket. Now, in this version of the script, they retcon Michael's birthday to Halloween 31st, 1957, as opposed to October 19th.
interesting.
Yeah, the script retcons a lot of things as well. This is weird. I never understood it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I guess because of Halloween Resurrection, they had to like retcon a few things.
true,
Anyway,
but to be fair, they only retconned the ending of so that's the only thing they really messed with. Besides that, they didn't have to retcon Michael's birthday. There's a lot of retconning in the script though.
yeah, I guess that's true. That is very weird why they do that.
Yeah, I never understood that, but um, bear with me because I'm still looking at the scripts and stuff on my phone. Um,
Okay,
wait a minute.
you're good.
So we get introduced to Michael in a cell, and the room the cell he's in is described as a white tiled room with a drain in the center of the floor. He's strapped by the wrist and ankles to a chair, and he's described to be age 11. This is correct. Um, and that's where we first get introduced to Dr. Hill, trying to reach Michael to see if there's still any humanity left within him, which obviously there's not. The devil's eyes, the blackest eyes, as Mr. Pleasance once said, who was the infamous Dr. Loomis. Um, you also get introduced to Nurse Spence, as I said previously, who is a cocky nurse who doesn't really care much for Michael.
Interesting.
Um,
Hang on, which book are you by? Sorry, and what page is that?
I'm reading page 2 and 3 right now. Page 4, actually.
Right. I actually got a script up right here, so it'd
Yeah,
probably be
because
easier.
one thing with the script is kind of hard to describe stuff because the way some of the words are written.
Yeah.
Because
I,
writers are both English writers, so their wording is kind of different than as opposed to American writing.
right. I'm on page 4 now.
Yeah. So you see Dr. Hill reaching, trying to see if Michael would actually be able to talk, and to no avail, Michael does not speak, and instead attacks Dr. Hill by stabbing. Actually, excuse me. He doesn't attack Dr. Hill. He stabs his own hand, scaring Dr. Hill off. And eventually he with him.
Sorry.
He starts banging for help on the door. That ending bit of page 4, if
Yeah,
you
I got it.
lost. Yeah. You see that Michael stabs his own hand, and you just hear like the pencil pushing deeper into his own hand and it cracks. And then
Why?
you'll see.
Sorry, why does that almost sound like a certain something that we heard from Halloween Ends?
Mm.
I'm not gonna spoil it if you guys don't want to know what happened in the teaser trailer that was at CinemaCon, but that sounds almost similar, but with Michael.
Yeah. So let me see. Where Michael's other hand clamps down on the doctor's as Michael stares at Dr. Hill. Dr. Hill is terrified and tries to pull away, but he notices Michael's dark, cold black eyes. As the doctor continues to scream for help, eventually Nurse Spence comes out and Michael is restrained by guards. This is page 5, by the way.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Nurse Spence steps forward, looking at Michael as he presses the electric cattle, which is essentially a taser, um, against Michael's pale neck. Michael jerking as the orderlies hold him down and his black eyes bulging. Then it cuts to the orderlies dragging Michael's feet. Excuse me, dragging Michael down the corridor as he's trying to break free from their grasp. His black eyes expressionless as he is beaten. Then we see a close-up of Michael's hand closed tightly around Dr. Hill's glasses. Michael's thrown into a different cell and a straitjacket. Then it cuts to 1978. And where we at? This is page 6 here. Michael's eyes still black and cold, but much older now, as he's 21, if I'm not mistaken. Then we get a much older Nurse Spence who talks to Michael. You know, she says something around the lines of, "It's been a pleasure, Michael, getting to know you throughout the years." Michael, yep, I'm right. Michael, now age 21, is still in a straitjacket with his head lowered, almost tucked into the straitjacket, as we don't see his face. Nurse Spence stands opposite of him, and is described in the script itself. Time has not been kind to her, so she's extremely thin-lipped and deeply lined, basically just old and wrinkled.
Yeah.
She's more of a jerk to Michael still, telling him not to look at her. And Nurse Spence reaches to her side and threateningly grasping the electric cattle as Michael flinches and averts his eyes.
Wow.
Yeah, she's mean. She's definitely mean. Nurse Spence takes out a letter from her pocket and opens it. The letterhead reads, "The Mental Health Board of the State of Illinois." She questions Michael, asking if he knows what that paper means. and Michael does not look up. The paper reads, stating that he will never leave Smith's Grove, and tomorrow Dr. Loomis will bring you to will bring him before the state board. Nurse Spence says they will make it official, and Smith's Grove will permanently be your home, Michael. This is where you will die. Once again, being a threat, threatening Michael, antagonizing him. She also mentions that she will be retiring, and she left special instructions for her successor to take care of Michael. As she turns to leave, we hear a muffled noise, possibly a word. She turns around and questions Michael, asking if he said something somehow. Michael is impassive, of course, and the room is suddenly silent. But yet, Nurse Spence is intrigued. She narrows her eyes. Did you just talk? She starts forward.
That is really interesting.
Nurse Spence's hand goes once again towards the cattle pod, and suddenly Michael suits his arm from the straitjacket, grasping Nurse Spence's hand tightly around the cattle pod. She gasps. Michael's other arm extends, holding a sharp blade fastened from the horn-rimmed lens of Dr. Hill's glasses. So, essentially, he made a weapon out of Dr. Hill's glasses on that day that happened in 1964. So he's been waiting for this night to escape. And of course, he does exactly that.
Wow.
She gasps again as Michael drives the blade deep into her abdomen, causing blood to spill everywhere. Michael rips the blade upwards with immense strength as Nurse Spence's eyes start bulging as she's shocked with pain. Nurse Spence utters, "I gave you a home, Michael." Michael's eyes staring into hers, watching her eyes roll back into her head. Nurse
Wow.
Spence ends up dropping dead with her hand closed tightly around the cattle pod, the flesh of her palm charred after holding it for several minutes. Michael slips from the straitjacket, something he's evidently been able to do many times. He's wearing a white nightgown, and it cuts to Michael bending over the black grate. He removes the black grate from the floor and slips down into the space below, revealing a tunnel system under Smith's Grove. That sounds a bit resurrection-esque, if I do say so
Yeah.
myself. Which is something that's also in my version of Retribution. Through Michael's POV, he moves slowly under the floor, looking up occasionally through many different vents. He sees a patient whimpering in the cell. He passes by another room and sees the nurse's changing room, where a half-naked nurse is getting undressed. Michael watches as he rolls her stocking down, and the sound of his breathing intensifies.
Oh, damn.
It cuts to an office filled with filing cabinets and desks, with Halloween decorations filled throughout. In the corner, Michael stands with his back to us as he's searching through a file box. As we get closer up to him, we see him that he's looking for his own file, Michael Myers, or Myers Michael as in the script, obviously since they put your name backwards and stuff like that. But as we saw in some scenes, a scene of crime photos and his family, and pictures of his Haddonfield home. He opens out a folder and a file marked state pathologist. And we saw an autopsy shots of a teenage girl, and it's revealed to be Judith Myers, with multiple stab wounds, as she's aged 17, as well as a picture with a butcher knife with the exhibit tag attached. Michael briefly stares at the picture for a moment. We hear footsteps coming down the hall, and Michael quickly notices and hides in the corner of the room. A orderly enters, holding a box of files and a cup of coffee. He sees the open file box. He approaches it out of curiosity. Below him, the drain grate is quietly pulled back into place as Michael slipped through. Doherty looks up through the office window as we see white night shirt mental patients who are wandering around aimlessly in the dark. This matches up to the opening of the original Halloween with when Loomis and Marion Chambers go to pick Michael up.
I really like that aspect.
Yeah, it's kind of written weird differently because it kind of retcons a bit of the events that happened in 78 as well. Because in this script, it shows that Loomis is supposed to come tomorrow after Halloween to put Michael against the state health board. But in obviously the original, Loomis is already picking up Michael with Marion Chambers. So
yeah, that is a bit of a continuity error.
Yep, which gets fixed in my version. But back to this version of Retribution. Where are we at? Doherty is freaked out by seeing the many patients out there in the cold, rainy weather. Doherty turns and rushes out from the archive office, knocking the cup of coffee as it spills over the floor and trickling into the black drain in the middle of the floor. As we move into the black drain, we see the shape slowly walking through the tunnel system once more. As he moves along beneath the floors, with shots of light spilling through the vents.
I'm
One
sorry,
of the we see. No,
which part do we buy? Sorry?
Page 9 now.
Okay, I got it.
I'm trying to just summarize every page because there's a lot here. I believe the full script has at least 108 pages. So I'm trying to give a summary of everything. So if you see me skip a couple things, that's why. But anyways, one of the grates we see a hand outstretched, lifeless, fingers pointing downwards through the grate, and through another grate we see a face, lifeless as well, with their eyes glazed over. Michael has been exacting retribution as he goes, as he kills everybody in the facility. It quickly turns to a war in the tunnels until we stop hard at the end of the tunnel, where you find the shape of Michael pushing on the old iron grill. The grill slowly gives away as moonlight spills into the tunnel and the shape emerges and disappears into the moonlight.
Ooh.
The isolated hospital complex is surrounded by dark woods. A station wagon drives towards us. It has the county shield on the side. As we turn to watch it go, we glimpse a dark shape in the driver's seat. So, of course, harking back to that scene in the original Halloween, no mention of Loomis besides Loomis picking Michael up supposedly the day after Halloween. Although Michael does end up getting in the station wagon, so what's continuity error.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because it's a draft, it will have continuity errors.
Yeah, true. I mean, like you said, this was the first draft. I don't know how fast the two writers made Jim Keebleton. I mean, yeah, Jim Keebleton and his other partner wrote this. I do believe they've written this, and it took them a month to write this. So there's quite a few errors here. Anyways, we get a title card to 25 years later, and now the year is now 2003. Looking out the woods from the backseat of a car is Leah, age 18, a teenage girl who attends Haddonfield High. She's a high school senior, with a ponytail. Her dark eyes look out into the distance, suggesting thoughtful but withdrawn personality. Alongside her asleep are Tim and Tanya, fellow seniors and good friends of hers. Tim is a wealthy jock, and Tanya is a blonde, pretty vacant girlfriend of his. Tanya is wearing a Haddonfield High sweatshirt and is snoring with her mouth wide open. Tim is curled up against her. And the front seats are Tanya's parents, Norman and Jill. Jill turns to Leah. Jill says, "You love the cabin, Leah. It's so nice you coming with us. We don't want, we don't see enough of you these days." Leah doesn't respond. As as her father looks at her, he then glances at her daughter and where was that? Sorry, I lost my track. Um,
Oh, by the way, my camera is fine. I just turned it off a bit.
yeah, no worries. I guess things changes, he says. I hardly recognize my little girl anymore. It's it's part of the deal, darling. We think we're indestructible until we have kids, then we spend the rest of our lives in constant fear. Leah glances out the window at the woods. Ahead, we see a now abandoned Smith's Grove with overgrown trees and stuff. It's been in disuse for about 20 years now. As Tanya sleepily wakes up, she asks, do they have restrooms, possibly? Norman
Yep.
says, "We're in the great outdoors, darling. It's one big restroom." As Norman stops the car, Leah gets out to let Tanya out so she can use the bathroom. Tim superstitiously punches. I'm not reading that. Gotta keep it clean. Keep it clean. Uh, Norman catches a glimpse in the rear mirror. His lips tighten as Tanya laughs. I'm not reading that other line either. That's a little weird. Um, Tim chuckles. Leah looks up the hill at the old disused mental hospital, a creepy institutional building. Leah questions, "What is it?" As Norman looks at the map. That would be Smith's Grove. It was a mental hospital, as he says to Leah. Leah shivers involuntarily. She looks up at the old hospital. As we cut from a POV of the old hospital, we see a much older shape looking through a broken window from Tanya behind the tree. No, oh, that was two different sentences that just combined. Excuse me. From a broken window. The POV moves from Tanya behind the tree to Leah. Leah is standing down the hill with her brunette hair and her neck. The POV starts to move past broken windows as the shape slowly walks closer and closer. Back to Leah, who is now in the car. She shifts uncomfortably as she rubs the back of her neck, as if feeling eyes on her. She says to everybody in the car, "Remind me not to stick around here anymore." Uh, she asks, "Tanya?" As there's no response. Tim says, "I'll save her." As he clambers out, "Hey, Goldilocks." Tim strides off into the woods. Leah's standing there in complete silence, and there's no movement or birds chirping. The place is dead still. Beyond the old hospital, at once Tim reappears, carrying Tanya over his shoulder. A moment before we realize she is giggling. Tim throws Tanya into the back seat, and the four of them drive off. Which is the introduction we get to some of them teenage main characters in this script.
Right.
We then get reintroduced to who would have been still played by the incredible Busta Rhymes, Freddie Harris, as he's presenting a new book he's written about Michael at Antrim College, Newry, Illinois. A packed lecture hall. On stage is, of course, the infamous Freddie Harris, played by Busta Rhymes, who would have been played by Busta Rhymes, excuse me. And sitting opposite of him is a pretty female TV interviewer. A PBS TV crew is also filming the interview that is taking place. I'm gonna summarize this because it's a long speech Freddie gives, but like I said, essentially giving a speech about how fear is in the contract. The contract of fear is everywhere. Fear can spread throughout society, stuff like that. And he does get applaud from the audience, and he ends up signing a whole bunch of copies of his book that he presented, and is giving out autographs. Eventually, we see a man off screen that says to Freddy, "So you're the guy who killed Michael Myers." Freddy looks up, standing there. Standing there is a dark-haired man in his mid-20s. He's a good. He's good looking in an edgy sort of way. Freddy responds back by saying, "Yeah, man, it's all here. Chapters 8 to 12." Freddy raises his pen to sign, but the man isn't giving him the book. The man questions Freddy once again. "And you actually saw him dead this time?" Freddy, who's now irritated, Yeah, read the book, man." The man questions Freddy once again. "But the body?" Freddy looks around the man and sees a pretty girl behind him. He smiles at her. He tells the man, "Look, dude, you're holding up the line. You're either going to sign the book or get out of here. Let's give the other kids a chance." The man
That sounds,
opens the book. Oh, you want to say something?
sorry, that sounds like any what they call them. Sorry, my mind is too focused on this script. I can't think. The place people go to, like the Michael Myers.
Convention?
That's the one. Why did that slip my mind? That just sounds like any convention.
But yeah, because it's basically a book signing. He's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
he's kind of like Loomis from Rob Zombie's Halloween too.
Right.
It's basically kind of like that, which is kind of cool, and it does fit Freddy's character. Because at the end of Resurrection, he learns his lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my thoughts. What is this page?
14, I think. Or was it 13? No, 14, I
Yeah,
think was on.
The man opens the book. A photograph of a young boy with his mother, Jamie. Oh, excuse me, with his mother, Laurie Strode. The caption reading Laurie Strode with her son John, and Freddy signs right there. The man stares at Freddy as if trying to resolve something. The man says, "You know, Mr. Harris, I really want to believe you." Freddy says, "What do you want, man? Get this guy out of here," as he signals to two cops on the side of the room, of the lecture hall, excuse me. Freddy realizes something and holds off the cops from further moving towards the man. He says, "Man, I thought you was in Europe." Freddy holds up his hand. Oh wait, I already read that. Excuse me. Freddy then says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored." He holds out a hand to who's revealed to be John Tate, who's now 22 years old. He holds out a hand to John. "John Tate, isn't it? It's a pleasure to meet Michael Myers' nephew." Freddie Harris puts his hand on his shoulder and says, "Man, I wanted you for the book, but you're a hard man to find. I suppose you're writing one of your own, possibly? Going to blow mine out the water?" Freddie looks towards a photographer as a camera flashes, taking a picture of both Freddie and John. John pulls away embarrassed. He tells Freddie, "I'd watch it back if I was you, Mr. Harris. My uncle doesn't like publicity." John then turns and walks right out the lecture hall. As Freddie sits there, shaking his head, the girl who was behind John walks towards Freddie with the book wide open for her signature. Freddie then says to the young girl, "Now, what can I sign for you, young lady?" And then it cuts to the campus parking lot in the evening time, later that night. The school is empty, the parking lot's empty, and there's just fog and a nice full moon outside. It's the end of the day. Yeah. He bleeps the lock to his ram and realizes the tire is flat, as it's been slashed. He says to himself that one of these kids must have done it. Freddy looks around, trying to look for any help he can. The parking lot seems to go on for miles, but is empty. Freddy looks at his suit, which is pale gray.
Oh,
Behind him,
somebody asked not so long ago what script are we reading. We are reading the Halloween Retribution script.
yes, we are reading the 2004 draft.
Yeah.
Behind him appears a campus police truck with tinted black windows. It drives slowly towards Freddy. As it stops behind him, he peers in, but can't see anything through the tinted glass. He asks, thinking it's a security guard, "Do you see who did this?" The campus police truck remains still, as Freddy is met with silence. Freddy, who is trying to peer beyond the black glass windows as he taps it. "You're meant to be patrolling this place, you know." The dark window was off. Freddy could see his reflection. Well, are you going to get out and give me a hand for Christ's sakes, as he says, angrily? Still, there's silence, as the truck remains still. Then the campus truck suddenly pulls away, slowly away, as Freddy shouts after it. He curses the guard out. Obviously, I'm not going to say the actual curse, because, family friendly, but,
I mean, hey, I pretty much curse all the time on my channel, so.
True, but I ain't trying to do that. I like to keep things squeaky clean.
Yeah, okay.
Suddenly, the campus police truck stops abruptly. Freddy then glances at the truck and ceased. "Yeah, what are you going to do? Report me to the dean?" as he shouts. Freddy then marches up to the campus police truck. He bangs on the window with his face against the glass, as he still can't see anything, still cursing at him. The campus police truck still remains silent. As he keeps cursing, he kicks the truck and turns away with his back towards the truck. The tinted window roars down silently. Unseen by Freddy, in the passenger seat is the body of a campus cop. Beyond is a dark figure in the driver's seat, a glimpse of a white mask, and it's revealed to be the shape who's been driving the truck the whole time.
Ooh.
Freddy walks back to his SUV. As he opens the trunk, looking for a spare wheel. Freddy says to himself, "No wonder why we have mass murderers. It's your fault, pal." We hear the sound of the truck racing. As Freddy turns, the campus police truck races up to him. He says, "About time," as the driver's door opens. Freddy, who can't see the guy, turns back to his trunk, pulling out the spare wheel. He says to himself once more, "Why do I have to get mad to get your attention? How about you do your job, man?" Suddenly, he gets whacked in the head as Freddy tumbles to the ground, his legs knocked away from him. He recovers quickly, rolling away as he looks up. The shape is standing there with a nightstick. Freddy stands facing Michael. "Who are you?" as he thinks is not the real Michael Myers. Michael still stands there silently. Freddy says to him, "You're not him. I killed you. I killed him, excuse me." As Michael still stands there, Freddy approaches Michael. "I'm not afraid of you." As Freddy walks, we see a gun tucked into the back of his belt. Freddy stands there face to face with the shape. As Freddy rips out his gun and points it at Michael's head, Michael takes a step back with his hand at his side. He demands the shape to take off his fucking mask. There you go. I gave you an F-bomb right there.
Hooray!
Freddy steps towards Michael as Michael's hands shoot out with one blow as Freddy is once again knocked backwards with the gun falling onto the concrete floor. As Freddy staggers backwards, Michael's hand catches him by the neck. At once, Freddy punches Michael, which causes the shape to stagger backwards, his grip slightly weakening. Freddy sees his chance as he punches Michael once more, as Michael's head whips around, but his grip on Freddy's neck doesn't slacken one bit. Freddy's eyes start bulging at this point as Michael's fingers tighten around his neck, choking him more and more. Freddy, Freddy says, "I killed you." Suddenly, in Michael's hand, he pulls out a butcher knife. He raises it and strikes downward into Freddy's chest, but Freddy shows no fear, as he's possibly waiting for this day to happen. We hear a thud. The butcher knife is piercing Freddy's book that he's holding as a shield to protect him. Freddy tells Michael, "I told you I'm not afraid." A moment passes by, and Michael and Freddy look at each other. Suddenly, Freddy's smile drops as his eyes widen. Michael's hand tighten against the knife as he pushes it further, piercing through the book into his heart, driving the knife deep into him. Freddy looks down at his chest where the book is pinned to his body by the steel blade of the knife. The title reads, "Unmasking the Monster." The knife pierces the photo of Freddy right between the eyes. That's going to be recreating the death for the movie. That's going to be fun.
So basically, he just dies.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, his death in Retribution was much more better executed as opposed to his death in Halloween Asylum.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyways, he does get killed. 1 second. Michael reaches down and slowly pulls out the knife. As Freddy's body slumps dead onto the floor, the book lies on his body. We see the shape disappear into the shadow as it now cuts to John standing by Freddy's body. In the almost empty parking lot, John looks at Freddy's lifeless body. John Tate kneels down by Freddy, and the wind blows the bloodstained book, flicking the pages over. Unseen by John is the shape who is now driving the police truck once again. As the campus police truck pulls into the frame, we see Michael's white mask framed in the open driver's seat. As John suddenly sees that is the shape, he chases after him to no avail. He then says to himself quietly, "I'll find you." And it cuts to a wide shot of John Tate walking from the parking lot as the bloodstained pages flooded through the wind. Bits of the pages blown like bloody snowflakes away from Freddy's motionless body. It then cuts to a morning time, and we are now shown the interior of Haddonfield High, as once again we get reintroduced to Tanya, Lee, Tim, and many of their other friends. A male principal and a male psychiatrist walks into a classroom with a sign on the door, office. Dr. Phillips, who's the doctor, tells the principal, "Sorry I'm late today. Little drama at home. Icy driveways and toddlers don't seem to mix." Ahead are locked double doors. The principal takes out a swipe card and swipes the doors for the doors to open. Principal tells Phillips, "Yeah, feels like winter's finally on its way." The doctor responds, "I love this time of year. My kids go nuts for Halloween." Principal Stokes is silent. Dr. Phillips puts her hand to her mouth. "Sorry," as is revealed that there's been a curfew placed on Haddonfield due to the many murders of Michael Myers. And Halloween isn't talked about much often. Principal Stokes replies, "Don't worry, we're used to it at this point." They get to a metal detector where a security guard is reading a paper. He nods at the principal as he walks through, and the doctor follows him. A beep is heard as Dr. Phillips jumps. The security guard looks up Dr. Phillips looks confused as she's trying to find out where there's possibly metal on her. As she searches herself, she says, "I'm always very careful when I come here." And the security guard says, "Perhaps it's the metal head ornament. We get it all the time." Dr. Phillips takes out her long, sharp metal hair slide, her hair falling about her face, as the security guard holds out a box as he places it inside. Um, what is this? This is page.
This is page 19.
Okay, so yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to skip this because we already 19 pages in. There's already 40 minutes into this live.
Oh God. Do you want to get to like the main bits then? Because otherwise we're gonna be here all day.
Yeah, because I think this is the longest script out of all of them. To be fair,
Oh God.
I believe with this version of the script, the movie would have been like an hour and like 45 minutes.
Well, damn.
My version of Retribution is aiming to at least be like an hour and 30 minutes though, and it's fastly paced in my version. But let me get to the gist here. So the kids leave school, and we met back up with Tim, Tanya, and Lee, who's joined by Jenny Saw, excuse me, who's joined by the Sarah's daughter, Jenny Saw, the local Sarah's sassy daughter, and Phil Townsend, a uptight, straight-laced kid trying to be cooler than he is, alongside a Brad, who's another jock, and his friend Andy. Tim, who's crumpling a leaflet, says this is mind control, as Jenny cheers, "Happy Halloween." Tim's replies and says, "We live in the only town in America where having fun is verbant banned." Since once again, there's been a ban on Halloween in Haddonfield. I'm gonna skip a few pages here.
Which page you skipping to?
I am skipping to page. Give me a second. 27, 28. Excuse me.
Oh God.
Yeah, quite a few ways there, but like I said, trying to get to the juicy stuff here because there's a lot to break down, and it's gonna take all day just to break down one script.
Yeah, that's true. Like, we gotta go through 3D and Resurrection. Not Resurrection. Returns as
Return.
well.
Yeah. So
You can continue. I'll be right back.
I no worries. 27. 28. Actually. The next day, the teenage protagonists meet back up and decide to sneak out of Haddonfield by going to a cabin to party on Halloween instead. We see the exterior of Leah's house as it's early morning. Tanya pulls up outside of Leah's house. As he locks her car in the driveway, Leah exits the house holding a bag. Tanya explains to Leah that Tim's car is outside of Phil's, and Jenny, Heather, and Amy are parked outside of mine. And all of them plan to meet up to get into a van to head to the cabin up in Russellville, Illinois. As Leah and Tanya hug, the two discuss the possibility of getting caught by the sheriff if they're not quick and silent enough to leave Haddonfield as fast as possible. Tim's van is pulled over at the side of the street. As the kids board, the sheriff ends up tailing behind him, and Tim is forced to park the van. As the kids hide in the back of the van, Sheriff Saw who's the sheriff of Haddonfield now, ends up walking towards Tim. As the teens are hiding, the sheriff questions Tim, taking the Rotary Club van for a spin, are we, Timothy? As the kids are still hiding in the aisle, Tim is trying to remain as calm and cool as possible. He replies to the sheriff, "No, sir. Just dropped off the special kids off at St. Ames. My dad wanted me to check the transmission of the van at the Grease Monkey at exit 5. As Sheriff Shaw tries to peer into the van, Tim tries to block his view. He questions the sheriff, "Is that all, sir?" And the sheriff responds, "Make sure you're tucked in bed before curfew, son. Your own bed, on your own." Tim nods nervously as Sheriff Shaw turns around and returns to his car. As he drives off, Tim breathes a sign of relief and starts the ignition of the van once more. As the teenagers exit out of their hiding spot and sit back down, Tim says to everybody, "See? A piece of cake." As the teens all laugh, the van roars away as the kids cheer with joy. And then cuts to the teens driving away from Haddonfield once more, as they are now in Lisburn, Illinois. It's shown to be a beautiful rural scene as Tim's van is moving nicely along the country road with a clear blue sky. As we hear the sounds of birds chirping in the background. In the interior of the van, we hear pound of rap music as the kids are shouting, laughing, and drinking away and smoking weed. Leah sits in the row behind Noah, who's her little brother, looking outside the window at the countryside. Jenny opens the bus window as icy air blasts in. As she sings along to the tune on the radio, Phil reaches up and slams the window.
I apologize for that, everyone. My dog was just barking.
No worries. To catch you up, you're on page 33 now. If you want to take over,
Okay.
if you want to take over for a few minutes, you honestly
go right ahead. I would like if you would, because let's just say I'm a lot slower with reading.
Well, I don't mind that. If you want to take over for a few pages.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, we on page 33.
I don't know why I muted that.
We are on page 33.
Okie dokie. Right, I got
it. Just to catch up on anybody who's joining that's new or just came to the stream, the teens have now left Haddonfield and now are heading towards Russellville to go to a cabin for Halloween. Give me a second. Where we at? We are. Suddenly, the van comes to a halt as it's revealed that the van has broken down. Where we at? We are.
For anyone who's new, this is Halloween Retribution first draft. Wait, is it first?
2004, February 20th.
Yeah, first draft. Okay.
Where am I? So yeah, as Tim's vans break down, Tim pulls the van to a road on the side as the teens are surrounded by woods. As Tim exits the van, he looks at the engine and is followed by Phil and Brad and Andy as well, as the four of them look baffled at the engine. Around them are empty woods with snow slowly falling down. Jenny, Heather, and Amy are drinking from a bottle of rum, as Tim and Tanya sit alongside them. Um, the group of teens soon realize they must take shelter somewhere, as the snow starts to intensify. Tim and Tanya creep away through the woods as they try and seduce each other. Um, they end up stumbling upon a dead body that is frozen, and it cuts to a POV of the shape breathing behind the tree. Uh, Lee, who's by the van, suddenly looks around her and realizes that her little brother Noah is suddenly gone. She looks at the main group of teens and sees that Brad and Annie are now sitting with the girls drinking beer. Phil, who is now alone, is still looking at the engine. As he, uh, Brad holds his phone and tries calling the cab, and there's no reception. Leah asks the group if they see Noah, to no avail. Leah walks along the excuse me. Leah walks around the road as he looks up the hill into the dense trees. The sky was now more so darkening as the snow seemed to tense. Leah thinks for a moment, then steps from the road into the forest. The trees are thick and dark. As it gets colder, she looks around her. Suddenly, she sees a glimpse of a shape through the trees. She questions out loud, "Noah?" As Leah is standing there, her breathing. Excuse me. The script is written weird because like some sentences are like I don't know.
Yeah, I see what
As
you
it
mean by
starts
that.
to snow even heavier, the shape continues to move through the trees. Leah assumes following, not knowing if it's Noah or not. It then cuts to a POV of Tim and Tanya making love.
Oh god.
And also cuts to another POV closer in on Tim and Tanya. Tim is thrusting away at Tanya as he shouts, "Lock and load."
We know Michael likes that.
Yeah, you definitely know that. Tim is thrusting wildly, grabbing at Tanya's hand. As we see Tanya's face as she moans, biting her lip. Um, gonna move on from here.
Was I
Um,
moving on from the shady stuff?
yeah. Concealed in leaves is a woman's dead body. It's not been there that long. We see a close up on Tanya's face as she suddenly panics and discovers the body as she screams. Tim and Tanya run away half naked. We get a longer glimpse of the dead body as the leaves blow away, as we see a janitor's coat and a name badge, Rita Jackson. It cuts to Leah in the dense trees as she's breathing heavily. She sees a shape stop between some trees. She follows slowly, carefully. She hesitates briefly, then steps out from behind the trees. A small, empty clearing is up ahead, as there's no one there. She looks down in the snow patches and sees a footprint. She looks down and sees large camouflage glare, and is revealed to be Daryl, who also attends Haddonfield High, holding a hunting crossbow, pointing it in her direction. Leah gasps. Behind her is a skitter of hooves. A deer darts off into the woods. Daryl jumps down from the tree. "Thanks a lot," as he tells Leah. Leah responds, "Daryl, what are you doing here?" As Daryl responds, he says he came for the party. Leah questions, "I didn't know you were invited." Daryl looks sheepish. Phil might have mentioned something about Tanya's parents' place. I might have looked it up on the map. I thought I'd bring dinner. Leah responds, "You know, Daryl, people already think you're weird." Daryl sarcastically replies, "I know, that's the idea." Suddenly, footsteps move fast throughout the trees behind him. Daryl whirls around as he raises a crossbow in the direction of the footsteps. Immediately out of the trees, a half-naked figure hurls at them and is revealed to be Tanya, as Tim quickly follows behind him. Tim stops dead in his tracks as he stares at the crossbow bolt. Tim curses at Daryl and says, "What the F?"
Oh god.
Daryl and Leah look down as Tim isn't wearing any pants or boxers. As we see his naked body as he faces Daryl, Tim covers his genitals. Uh, Daryl says, "Glad to see you're taking precautions. The woods could be a pretty dangerous place." Tim, who's in shock, asks Daryl, "What are you doing here?" As we get an exterior shot of the woods once more, everyone is standing at the location of the dead body. Noah, who is suddenly dead now, also looks at the body, as the snow is even falling heavier than before. Tim stands there with a jacket around him as he's shivering in the cold, as everyone laughs at him. I'm gonna skip a couple of things. The group ends up taking shelter in the abandoned Smith's Grove to pass time as the snowstorm continues. Uh, Trying to catch up. I believe we're on page 40 now.
We're actually going through this quite fast.
Well, I'm trying to, we have two other scripts to go over.
That is a very good point to make.
Plus there's a lot of filler in the script as well. A lot of unnecessary scenes.
That is so true. Though I'm liking where it's going.
Yeah, and it's definitely executed a lot better in my script. In my version of the script. But
and so far it does sound better than Resurrection.
That I could definitely agree with, and I'm a huge Resurrection fan, so
I don't mind it. I'll watch it and think, okay, whatever.
I mean, it's better than the Halloween 5.
I will agree with you on that. Anyway.
I'm trying. Oh, okay. So Tim looks up.
Oh, sorry. By the way, I will be reading some of the comments after we've read through the Retribution script before we move on to 3D.
Yeah, and I'll be reading some of the comments as well. But anyways, Tim looks up through the thick snow as he makes out the old Smith's Grove Hospital. They all turn to look as they enter. Tim sarcastically says, the Lord works in mysterious ways." We get a shot of the front door of the hospital, a large set of double doors with faded paint. The kids gather around. A faded notice sign is on the door, which states that Smith's Grove Hospital is closed until further notice. Please ring for caretaker. A bell marked as Miss R. Jackson. A bell is marked that reads Miss R. Jackson. Tim pushes the bell as the bell rings distantly. Suddenly there's silence as there's no answer. The kids enter the old hospital as Lee looks around her. The dark corridor filled with rows of doors. It's foreboding, institutional facility. As she serves, Brad says, "I don't suppose they get many drop-ins around here." Tim presses the bell again. As the bell continues to ring, Tim follows the bell. As we get more interior shots of the old hospital, We shown Lee, who is walking down one of the corridors with a flashlight. Phil, who's still on the outside of the hospital, is in his blizzard as he finds his cell phone. As he appears to call the cops, an officer picks up and it's revealed that Phil is trying to talk to him. As he's on his cell phone, he says, "Officer, that's what I'm telling you. We're stranded. You have to get us out of here." A crackle of static. "Are you getting any of this? Hello?" The signal goes dead as Heather looks at him. Heather questions him, "Did you get anyone?" As Phil replies with, "Only a useless sheriff." Phil looks worried as he nervously says, "I think we're here for the night." As we cut back into the interior of the old hospital, Leah continues to walk down the corridor, swinging the flashlight around each room. As the bell, which is still ringing, is getting louder. From the inside of the room, we see a POV of a door as it swings slowly shut as we hear breathing. Um, Leah shakes her head as he sees Tim, who is joking around. Tim stands by the bell, looking bored, jabbing at it childishly with his finger, trying to make tunes. Tanya starts to wander down the corridor. Um, Tanya stops outside one of the old cell doors as he says, "Hey, in some sort of storeroom." Uh, Ahead is a door with a sign reading "Caretaker" as Leah steps into that room. As the bell stops ringing, the old hospital remains silent now. Uh, Tanya steps into one of the rooms as she notices that the windows have bars. Leo, who's still walking down the corridor, gets to the room marked "Caretaker." As he steps outside the door, she knocks and replies, "Miss Jackson?" To no avail. We see a POV of the inside of the room as it appears that the shape is there, who's breathing heavily. Leah turns the handle, slowly opening the door, as it cuts to a low angle POV of Leah as she enters the room. Unseen by Leah is Michael, who moves down underground through the grate. We get a shot of Michael's POV as he pulls the grate back into place. As he sees Leah, who's visible through the grate, she looks around her, a little nervous, as he turns off the flashlight. There's a light from the window shining through. Uh, we get it cuts to Leo's POV of the room as she notices that it's an old nurse station turned into the quarters of a live-in caretaker. A electric fire cupboard, a bed, and a telephone is shown. It's recently inhabited, as the bed is unmade and a plate of half-eaten bread and cheese is also shown there. A couple of photo frames face down on the shelf. There also appears to be a fuse box on the wall as Leah opens it and turns on the main power switch. Dim lights flicker on behind her as they light up the corridor and the entire old hospital. As you hear distant cheers from the others, Leah smiles. Suddenly, she hesitates for a moment as she looks at the photo frames on the mantelpiece. She lifts up one and sees an older woman with a couple of grandkids, and she smiles. Leah lifts another photo frame, and it's an old black and white photo of the same woman, who is just about recognizable, maybe 30 years younger. Leah looking at her face, the woman is standing in front of the hospital building. Behind the woman There's a sign on the wall reading Smith Grove's Juvenile Psychiatric Unit. It cuts back to Michael's POV as he still stares at Leah, who's looking at the pictures. Leah is aware of eyes on her as she looks around once more to no avail. She still takes another look at the room and notices that the black grate catches her eyes. She picks up the flashlight and flicks it on. Suddenly, we hear a banging, muffled shout as Leah spins around towards the sound, which comes from down the corridor, as it's revealed to be Tanya. Leah exits the room, running off down the corridor. The grate in the middle of the room is now empty, as there's no one there as the shape has disappeared. Leah, who's running down the corridor, hears more muffled shouts ahead and banging. She turns the corner and around is Tim staring into her room through the observation hatch. Tim turns to Leah as he's grinning. Tanya, who's off screen, shouts, "Let me out." Tanya, who's hammering on the door. Uh, Leah, who feels uncomfortable. "Very funny, Tim. Let her out." Tanya, who's still screaming and hammering on the door, shouts, "I can't get out," as Tim continues to laugh. I'm gonna fast forward a few pages because it's just the teenagers looking around the hospital. Um,
Okay.
it comes back to Haddonfield as we see the public library. We see letters being typed onto a computer screen as we see the safe's name, Michael Myers, on the computer monitor. It's revealed to be John Tate, who's looking through the library archives search. Um, John is sitting at a computer monitor in a large 1960s library. Yeah, etc., etc. John looks puzzled as nothing pops up for the search. Off screen, we hear a familiar voice, and it's revealed to be Sarah Brackett. As he tells John, "You won't find anything here. They deleted all that stuff." John peers into the shadows as a disheveled figure approaches. As we know, it's Sarah Brackett, who's only been in Halloween 1 and 2 and Halloween Kills, but he's much older now and not in that great of shape. His eyes have sunk into his face and his clothes look shabby. Sarah, Sarah Brackett responds to John, "He's alive. The evil that killed your mother and the evil that killed my daughter is still alive." Sarah Brackett throws a file onto the desk as John looks at the newspaper clippings and photographs. One of them shows Annie, Brackett's daughter, with her arm around another teenage girl, who's revealed to be Laurie Strode, John's mother. Um, John Tate soon realizes that it's actually Sarah Brackett. Sarah Brackett responds, "I haven't worn a badge in 25 years, and I don't get much out of him anymore." John Tate continues to look at the file of clippings. Another headline reads, "Fire at City Morgue. Body of serial killer Myers consumed." This is another um plot hole here because obviously if you watch H2O, the FBI agents in that movie clearly state that Myers' body wasn't found. But in this
Yeah.
newspaper clipping, it says his body was consumed. So again, another continuity error there. But
As I said, there's like this is probably going to be fixed in a few more drafts before the movie came out, perhaps.
well, yeah, and obviously it's fixed in my version.
Yeah.
A lot of things are changed from this version to my version, which you will get to see soon. But anyways, John replies, "I don't want to believe it." As he reads another headline, it states, "No DNA found. The fire was too intense." Brackett replies, "But you knew, not like the others." Um, "You seen him. You looked in those dark black eyes. You know him. Uh, Here come home. He always comes home. John Tate looks up frustrated. I've been there. There's nothing left to come back to but a burnt, empty lot. Backer responds, you could get into his mind. You studied these things at those fancy colleges. John Tate replies, there's no pattern in insanity. As Backer slams his fist down, he replies, he's not insane. Others have made that mistake. It's much worse than insanity. As his eyes narrow, it's retribution. He will have his revenge. But for what? Retribution from who? John replies. Bracken places another file of papers on the desk in front of John. Police reports. Recent newspaper clippings, in fact.
Hang on. John Tate says Retribution. He said the title.
Yeah, the title already gets, this is like the fourth line that mentions something about retribution.
Wow.
This is basically the equivalent to Evil Dies Tonight.
Yeah, that is so true.
In my version of the script, nobody mentions retribution. In fact, the way Bracken and John meets is a little bit different. In my version, John actually goes to Bracken's house, and that's how they meet a little bit. But anyways, back to this. The headline reads: Unsolved murders in the state of Illinois since 2001. John looks at the reports that shows clippings of stabbings, knife murders, and he glances back up at Sarah Bracken. Bracken replies, "He will strike again. The only question is where." It cuts back to the teen who's now in the dining hall of the old hospital. We see long old tables and chairs up on the tables themselves. Heather, Amy, and Jenny are drying their wet clothes from the snow. Tim is hooking up his iPod to a boombox as music kicks in. Brad and Andy are getting the beers out as Phil looks around him at the decrepit building that looks miserable. Phil says, "Is this what we left Haddonfield for? This is a shithole." Tim slaps him on the head. "Quit your BSing. We escaped Haddonfield. This place is a party central. We got power," as more lights flicker on behind him. "Sort of hot water. And in case you haven't noticed, everyone gets their own room, so stop whining." Tim holds out a beer. "What's this?" Phil, who's annoyed, "It's a beer." "No, it's not, Philip," Tim replies. "It's a magic potion. It could turn a smart, well-adjusted female into someone stupid enough to share a room with you, like a dork like you."
Wow.
The guys laugh. "So you better get to work," as Tim says. Phil looks at the beer. It cuts to another interior shot of the old hospital, and it's now early evening. The high school kids is in adjoining rooms, hanging out in the corridor listening to music. As rap music blasts down the corridor, Phil passes with his hands over his ears. We get an interior shot of one of the cells as Jenny, Tanya are both in there. Um, it's revealed to be Jenny who's braiding Tanya's hair. A hairbrush with a hairbrush in hand. Tanya is just wearing a towel as Tanya swigs from Jenny's bottle of rum. Jenny says, we could get Brad to go for him." Tanya replies, "Leah wouldn't go for Brad. He's too..." Jenny replies, "Hot?" As the two talk about Lee and Brad, Tanya responds with Andy. Jenny replies, "She's not stupid." Jenny accidentally drops the brush as it clamps against the black metal grate. "Anyway, I thought you had a thing for Brad," Tanya responds to Jenny. Jenny reaches down as her fingertips brush against the grate. Then he replies, I had his thing. I had enough of little boys and their pimply asses. I need a real man with a long, unblemished credit rating. I don't even, the way the script is written is weird.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like I said, there's a lot of this. Tim sticks his head around the door. Tim says, we got the bridal suite. The next corridor is all ours. As he winks at Jenny, he says, I hate for us to keep you all awake. Tawny's a real screamer. Uh, Tim turns with a florist and exits the room. Jenny looks at Tanya. Uh, we get another. Okay, no, this is. Lee is shown walking down the corridor. She enters the cell. To her surprise, Daryl's sitting with no one on the bed, playing chess.
Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Guys, we are skipping a few things because some things seem a little bit iffy.
Yeah, for time purposes as well.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, you can continue.
You can put a link to the script in the comments, by the way.
Can I do that through Gmail?
You should be able to.
I'll probably try. I'll do that after we've read.
Yeah, you don't have to do that now. Just after. Anyways.
Okay.
To her surprise, Daryl was sitting with Noah on the bed playing chess. Daryl was passing a joint to Noah. As Leah snatches the joint from Daryl before Noah can get it, Noah sighs at her. You know, for a mute, you're pretty limpy. Noah smiles. Leo takes a drag of the joint and passes it back to Daryl.
We are still on Halloween Retribution, guys.
Daryl replies, so how are the beautiful people? Leo replies, why do you hate them so much? Daryl replies, the same reason you do. Leo replies, they're my friends. Daryl once again replies with, oh, sir, you're never out of the mall, shoe shopping. Talking about boys throwing up in the bathroom. Leah looks at him and replies, are you planning to carry that chip on your shoulder all the way through college? I suppose it goes with the crossbow and combat pants. Daryl, who grins, no. By college, I'll be Dawson's Creek's chick, khakis and Ralph Lauren. Leah smiles. Now that's submersive. On the chessboard, Noah topples Daryl's king as he's won the match. Daryl shouts, no, as he looks at the board and replies, you little bastard. Noah grins, and as Daryl smiles in disbelief and gets up to go. He stops in front of Leah and replies, always thought you and I had more in common than those brats. As Leah looks at him, Leah replies, you're not about to come out onto me, are you, Daryl? Daryl replies, no. Me? I'm too weird for girls. As he exits the room. And once again cuts to an interior shot of the corridors of the old hospital. As it shows Daryl exits Leah's room and walks into the hall. Phil is now standing there as he glares at Daryl. Daryl winks at him. I finished with her. She's all yours, as he says jokingly. Daryl walks away as Phil looks annoyed. Leah exits carrying a towel. As Phil says, where are you going? Leah says, Madison Square Garden. Phil looks puzzled as Leah holds up the towel. Leah replies, the shower. Leah walks off down the corridor as Phil looks into the room where Noah's at. Noah glances back at him as it cuts to Leah walking down the corridor and it pans down to her feet. As we get a close-up of her feet as she walks down the old hospital corridor. It cuts to a moving POV of the ducks beneath the floor, moving along the darkness. As the shape catches a glimpse of Leah's feet, which is visible through the grate. As Leah enters the shower, she sings to herself as she starts to get undressed. Once again, cuts to a POV of the floor below the POV from beneath the floor. Excuse me. Looking up at Leah. As Leah is taking off her clothes, she steps into the shower. As we hear heaven breathing, Leah turns as there's no one there. Down below, we see a pair of black eyes staring up through the air vents. And then suddenly, the shape disappears once more.
Michael Myers is just such a perv, though, isn't he?
And Retribution, absolutely, man. He definitely likes ladies in this movie.
Oh god.
And Michael's like 44 years old, I think, in Retribution.
Oh god.
So yeah, kind of quite the perv. Trying to catch up. I lost track.
It was by
Yeah, I caught up now.
Okay.
It cuts to the interior side of the dining hall once again, as Andy and Heather are drinking from a wine bottle in the dining room, kissing and making out. We hear heavy breathing. It cuts to a POV from beneath the floor, as it's revealed to be the shape once again stalking the team, watching Heather and Andy making out. The POV moves once more along the darkened tunnels, looking up through the grates. Tanya is in her room, listening to music on her headphones. Phil is sitting on the bed of his own, trying to get his cell phone to work. Amy is asleep on her bed, her naked leg dangling over the edge. She seems to be alone, as the POV pauses, breathing heavily, as the shape watches Amy sleep. A magazine is by her side. As she suddenly opens her eyes, Amy shouts, What are you doing, you perv? A male shoe appears, stopping on the grate, blocking the view. Phil replies, I was just trying to get a signal. Amy shouts, trying to get a peep more like it. Phil replies, like a beer? Amy replies, F off, as it cuts to the interior side of the hospital's kitchen. Brad is at the kitchen sink taking burgers from a packet. Jenny is cutting burger buns with a butcher knife. Brad, who sarcastically says, I find the culinary arts so relaxing, discovering just the perfect combination of flavors and colors. Jenny replies, Yeah, the sun's so unexpectedly lyrical about the marriage of burger and bun and craft slice. Jenny stops slicing the buns. Brad replies, With your college prospects, you better get used to flipping burgers here. Employee in a month. Brad hands her some tomatoes. Jenny replies, Sliced and diced. As Jenny turns back to grab the knife, with her hand on the table, there's no knife. Jenny replies, All right, smarty pants, hand it over. And Brad questions her, What? Jenny replies, The knife. It was right here. You know what that means? Michael got a knife in his hand again. Anyways, cuts to the interior side of the showers. As Leah's in the shower, suddenly we hear a crackle and the lights go off. Leah, who is now in the dark bathroom, looks around, holding very still as he turns the water off. She slowly pulls the shower curtain back, trying to see into the darkness. Brad and Jenny walk down the dark corridors as Jenny is swinging her flashlight. The sound of others making ghost sounds. Phil appears from the saddle. Hey guys, it's just a fuse. They reach the caretaker's office, but the door is closed. Brad opens the door to the caretaker's office as Bradfield and Jenny enter the dark office. It cuts back to the interior of the showers as Leah is in the darkness with a towel wrapped around her. She's standing, holding her breath, listening, as if to expect somebody to pop up out of nowhere. A row of sours and sour curtains are beside her. One of the sour curtains is drawn. Leah approaches. She stretches out her hand, taking a hold of the shower curtain. She breathes in. As Leah whips back the shower curtain, the lights crackle on. Leah gasps. The shower is empty, as she laughs nervously. It cuts back to the corridors as the lights are on, and the teens are cheering from down the corridor. Brad and Jenny exit the caretaker's office, followed by Phil. I'm gonna skip a couple of things here, cause
These next two parts are very weird.
yeah, definitely, and it's a bunch of filler.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speed past so we get a shot of Michael again. Um,
Yeah, we want to see Michael, or hear Michael at least.
okay. Let me page 56. That's real.
Oh god, we got it all the way down there.
Well, there's a lot of filler in this, man.
Yeah, I know.
It cuts to a suburban house at night. John is sitting in his car outside a large suburban house. On his lap is Freddy's book, Unmasking the Monster. The page is open on a photo, the caption reading, Dr. Loomis, with research assistant Dr. J.S. Hill. John Tate looks up at the house as he exits the car. As he knocks on the door of the house, there's no response as he bangs again. He hears a television is on inside. A neighbor passes by behind him, while John continues to knock on the door. The neighbor asks John, "Can I help you?" And he replies by saying, "I'm here to see Dr. Hill." The neighbor replies, "Jerry has that shit on so loud, he can never hear a thing. Come on." The neighbor climbs the steps. As the neighbor calling into the house, "Jerry, you have a visitor." The neighbor pushes open the door. As the two of them enter, with the TV loud in the living room. John follows the neighbor down the hallway. As the two pass by a framed certificates on the wall. One reading Medical School of Psychiatry, and the framed photos. Another one is a framed photo of conferences as we recognize Dr. Hill from the beginning flashback. Another photo of Dr. Hill is with a wife and children. You also get a glimpse of another photo of Dr. Hill and Dr. Loomis together. I wonder who they would have casted to make these photos actually happen.
I have no clue.
Because, like, there's not too many people who resemble Mr. Pleasant.
Unless you count the guy who played him in Halloween Kills. But, like, this was years ago.
This is 2000. Yeah, this would have been filmed in the same year. It would have been filmed in 2004 and probably released in 2005. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, like, they got a very interesting voice actor for the Halloween H2O intro. But
yeah, and I fixed that. I fixed that too.
Yeah, I saw that. That was good.
The power of AI. I was able to remove the music from his beats.
Yeah.
And that's how they need to do that for like the 4K. I feel like for H2O, they definitely they had to do something.
I don't understand why movie, like, if we can do it, right? We have small, like, softwares and that to do this, and yet movie studios don't even bother.
To be honest, I just think they didn't have the technology at the time.
Oh well, yeah, I guess that's more.
Well, I'm pretty sure H2O was filmed, 97. And they did reshoots in 98. So
I'm more on about if they don't do it for the new version.
But yeah, like I said, it's because like they didn't have the technology at the time, and they lost the files, the raw files of like the '78 film, so they couldn't like go back and like get those,
Yeah, that makes sense.
which sucks. Anyways, back to the Retribution script. Um, Beyond is the TV. The sound of the TV gets louder
So it's just going to
as they reach the
Retribution
living
Halloween.
room door. They open the door and see the TV screen is on, with the volume extremely loud. John looks uneasy. In front of the TV is an armchair. It's back to us, to them. The neighbor says, "Jerry, some some doctor you are. You're going to freaking deafen yourself. You're going to do yourself permanent damage to your ears." As the neighbor approaches, we see aside the coffee table in front of the armchair, and is a plate with a half bloody steak on it. The neighbor goes up to the chair. As he touches the chair, a body slumps sideways. The neighbor jumps back, and in the chair is Dr. Hill, who's 40 years old and is stabbed through the heart with his own steak knife. His eyes staring in the terror as they did with young Michael. He's been dead for several days, apparently. His hand clutches the TV remote, with the finger jammed on the volume button. That's kind of funny.
Hmm.
I haven't read this part of the script in a while, so like,
Yeah, I just changing the title on my thing just to make a bit more. Oh, what am I on?
the neighbor says, "Oh Jesus Christ!" As John Tate hurries to the TV, he pulls out the plug. The neighbor says, "What are you doing?" John Tate motions his friends to be quiet. Immediately, they hear movement upstairs. John runs into the corridor, then up the stairs. John Tate on the land. John Tate runs down the landing, looking into the doorway as he goes. At the end of the hallway is a closed door. He can hear a noise behind it. John tries to open the door, thinking it's Michael, but it's locked, jammed. He forces it with his shoulder as the door finally gives. As John bursts in, something hits him in the face, and as he staggers back, it's revealed to be a bat which is screeching. Or actually, excuse me, it's not a bat, it's a crow. A crow was trapped in the room, flying at John. As John beats it away, the crow flies out the open door. John, who now has blood on his face, looks around the room. It's evidently Dr. Hill's consulting room. A couch, a ransacked filing cabinets, and black and white photographs on the floor. John looks at them. Old clinical photographs of children. Experiments with water and electricity. The children's face blank and distant. There are no labels and nothing to identify the children or the setting. John looks up. The window is half open. As he goes to look through the window into the empty street, John says to himself, "Where are you?" John comes down the stairs as the neighbor stands there in the hallway by the phone, looking shaken. The neighbor tells John that the police is on the way. As John gets to the bottom of the stairs, the neighbor questions John, who would have done such a thing. As John doesn't answer, he goes to the front door. The neighbor replies, "I don't think you should be leaving." As John exits the house, the neighbor replies, "They want to talk to you. Where are you going?" As John quickly gets into his car and pulls away, the neighbor stares there baffled. It then cuts into the interior of Smith's Grove once again, into one of the cells. Tim lies on his bed wearing just his boxer shorts, looking sorry for himself, his hand wrapped in bandages. Tanya sits alongside her, her hair half braided tied with a bandana. Surrounding the bed, Tanya has lit candles, a romantic setting. Tanya replies to Tim, Poor baby. Tell Nurse Tanya where it hurts. It's getting weird again.
There's a lot of filler like that in this.
Yes, was get removed in my version. Like, there's nothing in this. Like, that's why my version of Retribution is extremely fast paced.
It's gonna be like this one, but on speed or something.
Yeah, and without the weird stuff.
Yeah, like I never understood why. Like I get it, 'cause it's the typical horror movie stuff. Like if you see any horror movie, you have them scenes in it.
True.
Sorry, what page are we on?
We are on page 59 now.
Oh wow, I was actually on it.
As the two began making love, Tanya asked him, "What was this place?" As Tim replies, "Some sort of hospital." Tanya, Tanya takes Tim's wrist as he starts buckling it with the restraint on the bed. Tim shouts, "Ouch! Careful!" Tanya replies, "Nice Tanya will make it all better." As Tanya covered Tim's eyes with the bandana, she ties it around his head so he's blindfolded. Tim replies, "I'm so glad I signed up for this medical plan." As Tanya giggles, she starts kissing him from the neck down towards his torso. Tanya sings "Trick or Treat." I'm not reading that next line. Tanya lifts up the waistband of his boxer shorts.
Oh god.
The elastic snaps as Tanya is no longer there. Tim trying to see through the blindfold. "Hey, where you going?" As the room is suddenly silent. Then Tanya suddenly giggles as she's standing right behind him. Tanya tells Tim, "I'm going to get a beer." The equivalent to "I be right back." So you know what this means. She's not going to be back.
No.
Tim laughs. "I thought you were hungry, not thirsty." Tanya replies, "I'm going to pour it all over you and lick it off again."
Oh god.
Yep, the weird stuff. As Tanya struggles, basically, Tim moans in delighted anticipation. Tanya grins and turns to the door. She walks straight into somebody. The shape. She gasps, but a hand clamps over her mouth. As Tanya whimpers, Tim smiles and replies, "My little screamer." As Tanya struggles, her eyes bulge as she sees a long bladed knife glisten in front of her. Slowly, deliberately, the knife is drawn across her throat as blood sprays onto Tim's naked body and his face.
God.
And his face. Tim licks his lips. Brewski. The hand releases Tanya's. Yeah, like a lot of weird stuff in this. The hand reaches Tanya's mouth, her mouth wide open in a dying scream.
Is YouTube going to accept that?
This is why I wanted to keep the squeaky clean as possible because this first draft is really weird.
Yeah.
Like most of these scenes that I'm reading won't even be in my version.
Oh yeah, by the way, guys, if Jar wants to, we might in the future do more of these, like Halloween 3000 and stuff, if we can find the scripts and that.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to do the asylum scripts.
Oh yeah, they'd be great.
Oh, okay, yeah. The hand releases Tanya's mouth as her mouth is wide open and dying scream. There's no sound, unfortunately, though. Her vocal cords severed. There's just a wheezing and whimpering sound that she's able to make out from her mouth. Tim says, "Yeah, baby, come and lick it all off."
Oh.
As the safe holds Tanya's limp, dead arm by the wrist and slowly starts to trail her dead fingertips down Tim's chest. Tanya's hair spills onto his body as he squirms with delight. Tim says, "Heal me, baby." Tanya's hands. Tanya's hands stop at his waist as the shape continues to move her body onto him. He says, "You're such a tease." As Tanya's dead body slumps on the floor by the bed, the knife blade appears once more, glinting into the light above.
Who wrote this again? Are you sure? Are you sure it wasn't the guys from 50 Shades of Grey?
I know, right? This sounds like a freaking fanfic with Michael.
Oh, stop.
This is what happens when you have two English writers, Dooley Appleton and Jim Keeble.
I could kind of see why they didn't go into production of this movie now.
I mean, like I said, it does need to rewrite it, just removing scenes like this.
Yeah.
Tim says, "Lick it off me, babe." The shape places the flat of the blade on Tim's chest. It cuts the shape's POV of the flat of the blade. Tim says, "Oh, that bottle's cold." The shape flips the blade so the tip of the blade rests against Tim's flesh. He brings the edge of the knife blade down and starts to cut into the flesh. Tim replies, "Ow, that hurts." The blade continues to cut as blood seeping out as he severs the flesh. Tim questions, "Tanya?" It cuts to Tim's face, suddenly anxious, as he opens his mouth. Suddenly, Tanya's dead hand is on his face. The shape pushes it onto Tim's mouth, as Tim's face is contorted in agony. As the knife turns, we see a close-up of black eyes staring impassively at Tim, reflected in the metal blade.
Just so you can see my face right now of how I'm reacting to this. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know, right? This sounds like a fanfic.
A fanfic? Bruh, I bet I could write the Halloween Retribution script. In terms of that area.
Anyways, we see another pair of eyes as it cuts to a different shot of a cell. It's Noah sitting in the corner of his room. His eyes get wider, as if he could feel the pain and the terror. I want to know Noah stands, pacing back and forth, agitated. So to explain what's happening, apparently Noah somehow has a psychic connection to Michael. It's not completely emphasized in the script, but is acknowledged sort of. They never explain it. This is another plot hole, and Noah's character gets slightly changed in my original script. And instead of him being a mute, he's deaf in one ear, so he has an hearing aid. But yeah, it's weird. Anyways, Noah runs into the corridor, looking about him anxiously. He runs up to Daryl's room. As he opens Daryl's door, Daryl looks up surprised. Daryl replies, "Hey, Noah, are you coming over to the dark side?" Leah off screen. Noah. Leah is in the doorway. Noah turns to Leah as he starts signing. As he starts signing, Daryl replies, "What is he saying?" Leah looks worried. It cuts to the corridor once again as Daryl, Leah, and Noah run down the corridor ahead. As candlelight flickers from one of the rooms, they stop outside the room. The flickering light from the inside, Noah stands against the wall, terrified. Leah looks at Daryl, scared. Daryl opens the door. As he steps into the room, Leah follows him. Through Leah's POV, in the middle of the room is a small chair. In the chair is Tim, semi-naked, his back to us. Tim is too large for this child-sized chair. Around the chair are candles flickering. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like the kill he does in Halloween Kills with the gay guys, the gay couple.
Oh yeah,
with Big John and Little John.
Oh god, yeah, it does.
I believe we're coming up to that 2018 S kill that I was telling you about.
Oh, okay.
It should be coming real soon. Dale approaches carefully. "Tim, are you okay?" Leah and Noah are still in the hallway. Daryl sees Tim's wrists and ankles buckled into the leather straps of the chair. Daryl continues to question Tim. What's going on, Tim? As Daryl puts his hand on Tim's shoulder, Tim's head rolls back, his eyes lifeless. The chair topples backwards onto the floor, leaving Tim's dead body still strapped into the chair. Deep cuts into his skin are revealed. It moves fast. The POV moves fast into Leah as a close-up of her face shows her face filled with a white look on her face, filled with shock. She gasps as she puts her hand over her mouth. God, who would do this? Daryl replies, "This is effed up." Leah kneels by Tim's body as she checks for a pulse. She looks at her hands, which are now stained red with Tim's blood. Leah replies, "Oh, Tim," and turns to Daryl. "We gotta warn the others and get everyone out of here." Daryl replies, "I go find them." Nora grabs Daryl and shines at him. Daryl replies, "Come on, no one would think I did this." Leah replies, "No, he's right. They shouldn't have found you here." Daryl looks at Leah. There's Tim's blood on his shirt. Noah pulls Daryl out the room. As Leah stands a moment, looking at Tim's body, she then turns and heads off down the corridor. It cuts to the cell where Phil is at, who's pacing up and down, white face, holding a crossbow. Phil, Jesus. Behind him, Brad, Jenny, and Andy, and Heather are there, as well as Amy, who's sobbing and covering her eyes. Brad says, "I knew this kid was messed up, but I didn't think he'd go this far." Leah kneels by Tim, steeling himself as he unbuckles the last restraint. Leah eases Tim's body out of the chair and lays him onto the floor. Leah replies, "Whoever did this is insane," and Dale wasn't insane. Phil replies, "We need to get the hell out of here." Leah reaches out and picks up a blood-soaked banana, as it's revealed to be Tanya's. Leah and the others are hurrying along the corridor as Phil, who's carrying the butter knife, walks down the corridor as well. Leah is searching for Tanya. Above a row of glass skylights where the wind howls and snow skids across the glass. Jenny says, "Shit, you think Tanya's dead too?" As Brad replies, "That guy's crazy enough to kill a lot of us." Leah, "Oh, keep it real, Brad." Phil responds, "This isn't complicated. We only brought one cycle with us." Brad, "What about that caretaker?" Jenny replies, "You think the caretaker did it?" A sudden crash. As they look up, as they do, the caretaker's face appears in the skylight, twisting in a horrible grimace. Jenny screams as the caretaker's body crashes through the skylight. So I believe the skylight's like have you seen the Curse of Chucky? I mean, not the curse, the Call of Chucky.
The Cult of Chucky.
You know that scene where he throws that dead body through the glass?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's basically a skylight.
Oh.
So it's basically that kind of a window.
Right.
That's what's being explained here. Thudding against the side for a moment, Phil yells, "Jesus," as all of them look at the body. Leah replies, "I don't think the caretaker did that." It cuts to the interior of Daryl's room. Daryl's room is empty, as Phil is clutching the crossbow. Phil replies, "That evil little bastard, I'll kill him." Brad replies, "You girls stay in here." As he continues to talk, he says, "Block it from the inside. We sort this out." Jenny replies, "We won't be able to get out." Brad replies, "It's just till we get the little fuck. Then we all getting out." Jenny, Amy, and Heather step into the room. As Jenny says, Leah looks at them. She pushes Noah into the room and shuts the door on them. She hurries away down the corridor. Noah banging on the door as Jenny takes hold of him. Jenny replies, "We need you to look after us." It cuts to the interior corridor once again as Leah's heading along the corridor floor and rounds the corner. Suddenly a figure appears, and pulls her into the shadow. That sounds like something I've seen before. That sounds exactly like the scene with Sarah Moria. That's another character who's not in this. Sarah has no mention in this.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Like, there's no mention. Like, her character is suddenly gone. Like, there's no. Anyways,
There's a lot of like plot holes to this.
yes, absolutely. It was like I said, it's fixed in my version of Retribution. But anyways, it's revealed to be Daryl as they look at each other. Daryl replies, "What was this place?" As Leah looks at him. Leah explains that it was a mental hospital for children, and Daryl replies, "Maybe someone never left." It cuts to the back roads, of woods, and a title card will pop up saying Derry, Illinois. It's revealed to be John Tate, who's driving fast along an empty road. He checks the map and turns off into a smaller back road. It cuts to an isolated house, and as John's car is parked, John stands on the doorsteps of another old rural house. One light shines from the inside as he knocks on the door, and to no avail. He peeks in the window, and suddenly the front door flies open. You hear an old woman off screen shouting, "You're a dead man." An old woman stands in the doorway holding a shotgun. John Tate replies, "I just want to talk about Robert Jenkins. He used to live here." The old woman looks at him. "What do you want with him? My husband's dead." John replies, excuse me. It then cuts to the interior of the isolated house. John sits on the old sofa with a cup of coffee in his hand, and the old woman sits there. John Tate replies, "Your husband was 63 when he died, correct?" Old woman replies, "I know it was terrible to say, but in some ways it was a blessed relief. Bobby had terrible nightmares. He never got over that place." John replies, "What place?" As the old woman replies, "The hospital. At least that's what they called it. Those poor little souls." John questions, "What children?" The woman replies, "Horrible things. He didn't mean to. It was just the way it was back then." The old woman looks over a photograph of her and her husband on the mantelpiece. The husband looks sad and withdrawn. The old woman says, "Smith's Grove killed Bobby long before that intruder did." And it cuts up to a close up of John Tate's face. And it cuts to John, who opens his car door hurriedly. Flicking through his papers, a headline reads, "Retired Clinic Administrator, Slain. Sole Admin, 1961, Unit Retirement. Smith's Grove, Secure Juvenile Unit." John Tate grabs Freddie's book. The picture of Dr. Loomis with Dr. Hill behind him. A building. He turns the page, and a photo is revealed to be the disused hospital under a caption, "Smith's Grove, Michael Myers' home from 1963 until his escape in 1978. John says to himself, "Shit." It cuts to John Tate on his cell phone as he dials 911. "Police, Webster County." It cuts to the interior of the sheriff's office. A police officer on the phone. "This is Webster County Sheriff's Office." "Yes, sir. Smith Grove is in our jurisdiction." He listens to John, who's frantically trying to explain to him the danger. He tells John, "Calm down, sir. Ain't nobody getting up that hill tonight. The interstate's a ski run, and there's 5 feet in the hills." The two pause as he listens to John. He replies, "Listen, I got a bunch of kids stuck up there. They got to wait till morning, and so do you." Police officer is about to put down the phone as it cuts to John in his car with panic on his face. John Tate, "There's kids up there?" As there's silence suddenly. Uh, John tells the officer they have to get them. There's a psychopath on the loose. It cuts back to the police officer looking annoyed, with the TV on in the background, a old John Carpenter movie. The police officer replies, "Sir, you're tying up valuable resources here." John replies, "I'm serious. It's Michael Myers. Michael Myers is back at Smith's Grove. The police officer rolls his eyes and says, Jesus, another one, and laughs. Let me guess, the lunatic has taken over the asylum? Listen, pal, you could be booked for making prank calls. Go and play trick or treat someplace else. Happy Halloween. John's still holding the phone as he tells the officer to not hang up, but the phone is dead. As John shouts, no. John grabs the map, searching for Smith's Grove. He spots it in about 50 miles, but the roads are tiny. It cuts to John on his cell phone.
I apologize. What page are we on?
We are on page 68.
Wow.
The bottom.
Can I just say, we've been going on this for like an hour and 55 minutes.
I know. I've been moving as fast as I can.
I know. I'm just saying.
I mean, if you want to make this a two-party, we could do I don't know. It depends, honestly.
Unless you just want to label this live stream as chatting about Retribution, then we cut to another one, like part 2 for him.
Yeah, you know what? This could be a whole series. If you like, this could be like the Road to Halloween Kills, and we could just like go over like the old scripts and stuff.
So this one's just gonna be Retribution, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna retitle the
Yeah, you might as well, because like this thing's long, man.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get as much as we can.
Yeah, I respect that. Guys, I thought we was gonna get through this, but like there was a lot of filler in this script. Hang on. Let me just... Okay, so I retitled there, Halloween Retribution, reading the script, part 1 of the Lost Halloween movie script read through.
As John hangs up the phone, he calls up Sheriff Brackett. As Brackett picks up, John says, "You was right. He's gone home."
Hey, Ben Carter's in the chat.
Yep, one of my composers for my Halloween Retribution film.
Nice.
He tells Brackett, "You're a cop. Make them understand," as he's urging him to help. How many more dead kids do you want on your conscience? John Tate quietly listens, but there's no reply. He realizes that the phone once again gone dead. John hangs up the phone as he puts his car into gear. As the car starts up and drives off, the tires spit the gravel as he tears off into the stormy night. It cuts to Brackett's house. A dark room, buzz of a dial tone. A telephone receiver is in a man's hand. Pan up the receiver and it's real. Brackett is sitting in a darkened room with the phone as he's smoking a cigarette, his face sunken and scared. His eyes narrow as we hear the memory of the night of his daughter died. As it cuts to Halloween 1978, as Brackett is shown talking to Loomis in the flashback. Loomis replies, "I watched him for 15 years, sitting in a room, staring at a wall, not seeing the wall, seeing past it, seeing this night. He's waited for it, and humanly patient, hour after hour, day after day, waiting for some silent, invisible alarm to trigger him." See, these are the scenes I do love.
Yeah.
Because, and then there's just a lot of filler. Like, if you just remove the filler and just, fix a couple of things, the script would be amazing.
Yeah. By the way, for anyone new, I had to cut the stream short to only Retribution. There'll be other parts probably within the next few days.
In Sarah Brackett's other hand, he has a photo of Annie, his daughter. A moment as Brackett just stares at the picture sitting there. We hear another voiceover from Dr. Loomis. Death has arrived in a little town, Sheriff. You can't ignore it, or you can help me stop it. It cuts to the interior shot of a basement in Brackett's house. As Brackett opens a box, inside lays his old sheriff badge and a Smith& Wesson revolver. It cuts to another voiceover of the night of 1978 with Brackett replying, I stay out with you tonight, Doctor, just in case that you're right. And if you are right, damn you for letting him out.
I love these bits.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a prequel that fills in the events of 1978 to H2O. It's
Nice.
called Loomis, and we do have some stuff with Brackett in there. And it's canon to the H2O timeline to expand a couple of things. But anyway, um, and that's if the people want to see it because I'm hoping Retribution does good when it's released.
I'm sure I will.
Brackett takes the gun and loads it with bullets. As Brackett is standing with his back against the front door, he takes a deep breath, almost hyperventilating, as if to try and calm down. He takes one deep breath. He takes one last deep breath as he opens the front door and strides purposefully outside, leaving the door swinging open behind him. It cuts to the interior of a police station, as we see a deaf and Sheriff Saw hands Sheriff Brackett a cup of coffee and puts a hand on his shoulder. Sheriff Saw tells Brackett, "Listen, Lee, this gotta be a tough time for you, Halloween and all. I got a girl the same age as Annie was. I know how hard this could be." Brackett puts his head in his hands on the table. Brackett replies, "Maybe you're right, Jerry. It all seems better tomorrow. It'll all seem better tomorrow, excuse me." Sheriff says, "I'll drive you home." Sheriff Brackett replies, "That's all right. The walk would do me good." Unseen, Sheriff Brackett's hand closed around Sheriff Shaw's car keys on the table as he snatches it off the desk. It cuts to the exterior of a police station as and a cop car. And Sheriff Brackett quietly opens the door and climbs in. He playing Grand Theft Auto right now. He lets the car roll down the incline, then guns the edge and it speeds away with the lights flashing. It then cuts back to the interior of a kitchen in Smith's Grove. Daryl and Leah in the kitchen as Daryl holds his hunting knife. Daryl talks to Leah. "You're looking for a one-piece blade, like 6 inches." Leah's looking through the drawers. She takes out a whisk. Leah replies, "I suppose I could blend him to death." Leah looks at Daryl with fear in her eyes. Leah continues to talk. "You know what you're doing, don't you?" Daryl replies, "I could look after myself." Leah replies, "Can you look after all of us?" Daryl looks at her. "Show me. I want to learn." Daryl takes the whisk from her. He holds it out on the side. He holds it out to the side. Leah follows the glint of metal of the whisk with her eyes. At once, Daryl slaps the blind side of her face with his other hand. Daryl replies, "Don't watch the knife. The knife isn't going to kill you. The guy is going to kill you." Daryl holds out the whisk again as he looks him in the eye, concentrating. He jabs at her as he tries to palm him away, but the whisk jabs straight into her stomach. They look at each other. Leah, "I was never much good in the kitchen." Daryl replies, "Come on," as Leah questions where to. Daryl replies, "You want to face a maniac with a whisk?" It cuts to a storeroom as Daryl and Leah are in that Tanya discovered. Excuse me. There's no light. As they light match. They look for a weapon. Leah opens a file cabinet drawer. Inside are files. As Leah lights another match, a horrific black and white photo of children are shown being restrained and bound. As the photos are numbered, Leah shivers. Daryl looks over her shoulder and replies, "Poor bastards." Leah turns as she's staring at an axe that Daryl was holding. and a moment of silence. Leah replies, "That's for protection, right?" As Daryl hands his hunting knife, Daryl replies, "Are you sure you're up to this?" Leah replies, "I suppose we're about to find out." With Daryl holding the axe, they exit the storeroom. It cuts to the cell with Nova and the girls barricaded in the room, bed and chairs pulled up against the door. As the girls sit against the back wall, Nova is pacing nervously. They thud against the door as they look up terrified. There's a window on the door, and a face is shown. Then Jenny recognizes that as Tanya. As Jenny smiles, Jenny is relieved. "What are you doing, girl? We've been looking for you everywhere." The girls go to the door, pulling away the chairs in bed. As Nova tries to pull Jenny back, Jenny replies, "It's okay, it's Tanya." As Noah's panicking, Tanya looks deathly pale. Jenny, "Jesus, girl, you look like shit." The door opens as Tanya is standing there in the dark corridor, but something is very, very wrong. Tanya is half naked as her eyes are cold and lifeless. Tanya's body slowly slides to the ground, revealing that Michael Myers is standing behind her. As the girls scream, it cuts to Phil, Brad, and Andy as they hear the screams of the girls. Daryl and Lee also hear the screams as Leah shouts, "Noah!" The girls are face to face with the shape, with his white mask, and a glint as he raises a knife. Suddenly, Noah rushes forward, pressing the chair into Michael. As the shape is knocked back, the girls scream and rush past him, running down the corridor. Noah moves forward to escape, but the shape steps into the doorway, once more blocking him. Noah is standing there, face to face with the shape himself. The large butcher knife glinting as Michael's knife slides his black and past his eyes through the white mask. He stands there, not moving, as if he's taunting Noah with passivity. Noah cowers, stepping back into the corner as he covers his eyes. A moment of silence. Noah looks up and sees the shape is gone, as the corridor is empty. Michael would have killed him.
Mm.
Michael would have killed him. I don't know why he didn't. Kind of
Because
weird.
continuity.
Because of plot armor.
Yeah, they need Michael to not kill him because the rest of the script.
For most of the script, all we know about Michael throughout this movie so far is that he's really perving.
That is
And then when he
like-
has a chance to kill somebody, he just walks away and disappears.
yeah, he's like
That's his motive.
this is basically like the 50 Shades of Grey of the Halloween franchise.
Yes. But instead of 50 Shades, it's 50 Shades of Blood.
Yeah. By the way, I'm changing the thumbnail a bit. Just to get me caught up, what are we on?
We are on page 70.
Okie dokie. Right, got it.
Give me a second because I lost. Phil is running with the crossbow with Andy and Brad following behind him, holding a flashlight. The girls are running for hell down a dimly lit corridor. Dale and Leo are also shown running down another corridor. Phil, Brad, and Andy are running. Suddenly, Phil trips on something, crashing to the floor, dropping the crossbow. As Brad turns his flashlight, Phil is face to face with Tanya's dead, naked body. He screams, scrambling to his feet. As he does, footsteps echo down the corridor, getting closer. Brad picks up the crossbow and swings it around, but he hesitates, trying to make out who it is. Phil, with a close-up of Phil's terrified face. "Shoot, for fuck's sake, shoot!" Suddenly, out in the darkness, rushes a shadowy shape. Brad holding the crossbow, and it's revealed it's Jenny. Jenny rushes into Phil's arms as he breaks down, sobbing. Amy and Heather go to Brad and Andy. Phil shakes Jenny. "Come on, girl, put yourself together." It goes to a close-up of Jenny's face as she's starting to calm down. Behind her, slowly rising into frame, is Michael, as Jenny's eyes widen in terror. Jenny shouts, "No!" Phil looks over his shoulder, seeing the knife about to plunge into him. He screams, pulling Jenny round in the path of the knife as it plunges down hard into her body.
Oh damn.
So he just kills somebody unintentionally, but intentionally.
Wow.
Brad pulls the trigger on the crossbow, but the bolt misses Michael, flying off on the wall. Phil pushes Jenny's body away, running off Franklin down the corridor, as Brad, Andy, and Heather and Amy follow him, running at top speed, with Jenny slumped on the floor. The shape leans down, pulls the knife from Jenny's prone body, as he turns and walks slowly down the corridor, following the fleeing teenagers. Give me a second.
Yep. Alright, guys. Sorry if I've not really been that active during this stream. It's just I'm a little bit 50-50 when it comes to reading, like, out loud. But I'll try my best with Halloween 3D.
Brad replies, "Who the F was that?" As Phil, almost hysterical. "I don't care who it was. I'm getting out of here." Dale replies, "You gotta wait. We're all going together." Phil replies, "I got the keys. I'm leaving now." Phil pushes open the door. A snow blows in. Dale grabs him and brings the axe towards his face. Dale replies, "Listen to me. We're getting everyone out." Phil looks at the axe. "Phil, you're right. I'm sorry. Let's find the teams." It cuts to Leah and Dale running down the corridor. Suddenly, the roar of a van engine starts. As Leah turns, she says, "Shit." Tim's ran. Amy, Heather, and Annie Brad are in the seats, as Phil is the driver, desperately gunning the engine. In the driver's seat, Phil guns the engine as Amy grabs him, trying to pull him back. "What about Leah and the others?" Amy says. Phil smacks her with the back of his hand, sending Amy reeling. He turns the key again, the engine bursting into life. As the van pulls off, Daryl rushes out of the hospital. Right into the path of the van, he raises the axe, but Phil guns the van faster. Just as the van is about to ram into Daryl, Leah pulls him out of the way as the van hurtles off. Daryl shouts, "Gutless bastard." Daryl and Leah watch the van go. As through the back of the window van, a face turns, looking back at them. It's revealed to be the shape who's in the van. As he watches them, calm and afflicted, Leah looks at the white mask and the dark eye of the shape. Daryl runs after the van, shouting. In Dale's POV, as he runs, Michael looks back at him. Dale desperately trying to catch up to the van as he gets closer. But finally, the van pulls out of the gates and speeds away from Daryl. Daryl shouts, "No," as the shape looks back at him. In the interior of the van, the teenagers are cowering as Phil drives like a madman into the blizzard. From the back of the van, the shape emerges, walking slowly down the aisle. As Phil glimpses the figure in his driving mirror, he shouts, "Sit down, you little bee." But the figure keeps on coming, thinking it's one of the teens in the back. He replies, "I said sit down." As Phil looks in the mirror again, he sees the shape's mask and a flash of the knife as blood spatters the inside of the windshield. As the van crashes, it skids along the road as the two wheels plow on the roads. Distant screams as the van careers off the road, toppling over the edge, turning over twice as it comes to a rest against the snowbank. Nothing but silence is heard as the sound of spinning wheels are still heard. From behind the van, the shape rises, silhouetted in the blizzard. That's a nice visual right there. He steps from the van wreckage and starts walking back towards slowly and calmly. As the shape passes us, I passes the camera. We see something on his hand as he walks through the snow back up the hill towards Smith's Grove. It cuts to John, who's driving fast down through the blizzard. No other cars are on the road. As John drives on, we hear Dr. Loomis report on Michael going around in his head, and it goes to the classic Loomis beat. I met him 15 years ago. This 6-year-old boy with this blank, cold, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and another seven trying to keep him locked away when I realized what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. Continuity.
God tier.
God tier continuity. Despite the fact that he wasn't even a sperm cell when, oh my god, I'm not even going. Suddenly the car swerves as it skids. John desperately trying to keep control. John brings the car under control and slows to a stop, the wheels spinning in the thick snow, and now the car cannot continue its journey. John gets out of the car with his flashlight as the car headlights light up on the road in the snow. Beyond, he sees a signpost covered in snow. He takes the sign as the snow falling off. It says Smith's Grove is 2 miles ahead. Suddenly, behind him, the car headlights shine through the snow. John turns around, terrified. The car skids to a halt. John grabs a crowbar from his car and tries to see into the lights. A figure emerges and is revealed to be Sheriff Brackett. John, looking into the light past the cop car. Where are the others? He says. Brackett replies, "You didn't think they listened to an old fool like me, did you? I am the others." Brackett takes his gun from the car as he takes out his sheriff's badge around and puts it in his coat. John replies, "You think that's going to scare him?" Brackett replies, "No, it's just going to make me feel a little less afraid." John and Brackett walk into the snowstorm and up the hill towards the old hospital on foot. Brackett is holding his gun as John is holding the crowbar. Below, unseen by either of them, is a smoldering wreck of the school bus. Um, it cuts to the dark corridors of the old hospital as Dale is running at the lead. Dale shouts, "Slow down," as Leah replies, "I have to find Noah." Dale replies, "We gotta be smart about it too." Leah replies, "He's my brother. This is all my fault." They come around a corner to see a figure crouching on the floor. As Dale holds the axe, the figure looks up and is revealed to be Noah. Leah goes to him and hugs Noah, but Noah pulls away. Dale replies, "What happened?" As they look down on the floor, they see a smear of blood as they see Jenny's dead body. And Dale shouts, "Come on." Dale starts off with the corridor, following the trail of blood. Dale, Leah, and Noah continue to run down the corridor. They get to the door and see a drop of blood, a noise but from beyond the door, and a loud bang. Leah looks at the door and it looks old and rusted. As he peers through the crack with the wall, the old rusted bolt is drawn across. She realizes that it's bolted from the inside. Swiftly, Daryl steps back and throws his shoulder against the door. It gives out the hinges as he throws himself at it again. The hinges snap and the door falls through. I'm gonna skip a whole bunch of this because trying to get through this as fast as possible. Um,
Yeah, if you're wondering what I was doing, I'm basically changing the title again just to make sure it matches with things.
yeah, I see what you're doing. I'm constantly excuse me, um, refreshing the stream.
Okay.
Where was I? Oh, the three of them enter the room and see a whole bunch of files. Um, they stumble across some tapes as Leah plays one of them. It's revealed that it's a filmed interview with Michael Myers and is being projected against the white back wall. The film is black and white, grainy, overexposed, and stark. Leah replies, "He was here. They sent him here after he killed his sister. He was only a child." "Who?" Leah replies, "The unseen head of our house, the unseen guest at our table, the silent listener to every conversation." Daryl looks at the file and reads, "Michael Myers." Daryl, it was him? It was Michael Myers? It cuts to a voiceover of Dr. Loomis saying, "Do you want to play, Michael?" Daryl looks at the projection. Daryl replies, "Oh my god." On the projection, the back of Dr. Loomis steps into view. His hands on the little boy. He hands the little boy an object. Dr. Loomis says, "Do you want to put this on, Michael?" And the little boy's hand is a clown's mask. Daryl looks down as Nova is backed up against the wall, not watching the film, his face cast down, avoiding the image. The little boy stares back past the camera, impassive. Loomis asks, "Does the mask scare you, Michael, or does it protect you?" The little boy staring into the camera as Noah gets freaked out. Loomis replies, "Why won't you speak? I, uh, I know you can hear me." Noah stands and exits hurriedly as Daryl follows Leah watching the film intently. As Noah stands outside the door, Daryl approaches. Daryl replies, "I don't like scary movies either." He hands Noah the axe as Noah holds it from him. Daryl says, "Look at you, the Slim Reaper." Noah holds his axe, which seems almost bigger than he is. Daryl's his hand is on his hunting knife.
So can I just say,
Yeah.
I really like that part with Dr. Loomis and Michael.
Yeah, that's something you get in my version too. But a couple of things are changes. But yeah, you definitely get this scene. The scene definitely stays almost the same. It's kind of cool though. Again, I don't know who they would have casted to play Loomis in these scenes, but um, I definitely have to find the actor to film these scenes with.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Uh, I'm just gonna skip a couple of things.
What page?
Give me a second. Page 87.
We're getting there, guys. We're getting there.
Yep, bear with us. Are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. It's just my mom's coming back from bingo, so sometimes I might put it on mute.
Nah, okay. Anyways, oh Jesus, there's a writing error here. I just realized that. How did they not notice this when they made this draft? Apparently, somehow Jenny's still alive, but like I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Amy or one of them because Jenny's dead. But anyways, um, suddenly the heavy file cabinet swings on Michael's back as he falls forward as Leah pulls away from him. Leah grabs for the door, but there's no door handle. As Myers is recovering and turning, looking up at Leah, suddenly the door swings open and Leah drags herself out through the opening door. As Daryl rushes in, the axe swung back, ready to strike. Daryl shouts, "Down, die, motherfucker!" As Daryl charges at Michael, turning his shoulder to bring down the axe, but he stops abruptly, as if he's hit with a wall. Daryl looks down as he runs straight into Michael's butcher knife. The axe falls from his hand, as Michael looking at the shock in Daryl's eyes. Daryl reaches out, his hands around Michael's throat, trying to throttle him. Noah watches horrified from the door. Daryl desperately trying to choke Michael. No, not yet. Daryl's hands weaken as life ebbs from him. They fall from Michael's throat. Michael slowly pulls the knife out of Daryl as Daryl slumps lifeless onto the floor. Noah cowering in the doorway, excuse me. Michael looks up at him as Leah reaches in and drags Noah out, slamming the door shut on Michael. Leah, Johnny, Leah, Noah, and Amy are in the corridor banging on the door as Michael throws himself against the door. Amy was sobbing, "Oh my god, oh my god." The banging on the door stops suddenly, and now there's suddenly silence. As Leah approaches the door, Amy asks what she's doing. Leah looks in through the window hatch. Through Leah's POV of the storeroom, she sees nothing but emptiness, as their body is slumped on the ground, as there's no one else there. Leah replies, "What the fuck?" Suddenly, behind Amy is in the corridor, the shape emerges. Leah looks around as she sees Michael. He raises his knife. Leah replies, "In here." Leah opens the storeroom door as Amy and Noah push in with her. Michael's knife thuds into the closed door. I'm gonna skip a couple more things for the sake of not trying to make this so long.
Yeah.
Dang, how long have we been going for? Oh, Jesus, 2 hours and 26 minutes?
What?
2 hours and 26 minutes.
Bloody hell.
And we're not even done yet. So this is longer than the movie itself.
I mean, to be fair, we are reading it, not actually playing the movie itself.
Well, true.
I've always noticed that.
I'm skipped a few pages. I'm on page 90 now.
Okay.
As Michael's footsteps are approaching, Leah manages to get a grip and pulls the door open and slams it shut behind her. As Leah runs fast down the corridor, Leah looks back and sees Michael's figure hurling itself at the door as the door is beginning to crack. Leah looks ahead as the doorway leading into the swimming pool complex. The broken door lying on the ground. As Michael keeps hurling himself at the bolted no minutes door, the bolt finally snaps as Michael forces his way through. Michael's POV down the corridor shows the empty doorway to the swimming block as his POV moves towards it. The disused swimming baths are shown, and it's very dark and shadowy from the skylights as you hear the sound of water dripping and the heavy breathing of Leah somewhere in the darkness. Michael's shape emerges, just as visible in the shadows. He looks around as shows Michael's POV of darkness and shadow. Suddenly a flashlight comes on, straight into his POV. He stops. It cuts to Michael trying to see against the light.
I read somewhere, like, I don't want to spoil what happens, but isn't there a certain thing that happens to Michael because of something?
In this script, no. Well, if you're referring to the ending, then there's something that happens to him. But besides that, nothing really necessarily happens to him. He's pretty much unstoppable in this movie.
Oh, I thought that I must have been thinking about a different script then.
Yeah, besides the ending, nothing really happens to him.
Because I heard somewhere that there was like a music box playing or something.
Oh, nah, you talking about the other Resurrection sequel? That's Halloween H2K.
Oh, okay.
That one is about a lot of returning characters, and they pull Jason X.
Oh god.
Which you just watched. So Michael's trapped in a lab in that film, and he's underneath Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe Freddy's holding like a documentary about Michael, and Michael ends up breaking out and stuff like that. And Michael gets stopped with a music box that plays his theme.
Oh yeah,
Pretty sure
but
that's what you're referring to.
I got it now.
Anyways, back to this.
He was on
Shape.
page 91, I think.
Yeah. Michael looks at her as he's 10 feet away from him in the darkness. I think she cut her hair. Yeah, she cuts her hair to look like Judith, even though Judith has long hair.
Wow, the irony.
The continuity, man, perfect.
Oh my god! Like going into this, I couldn't remember how much continuity there is and what is happening with my mic. Okay, that's a bit weird. But the amount of continuity errors in this is just weird.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. Good thing to get fixed in my version though.
Cool.
Anyways, Leo says, "Don't take your eyes off of me, Michael. Not for a second." As the shape hesitates. "Come on, I can't wait forever," Leah says. As Michael starts moving towards her, Leah steps backwards. Abruptly, Leah stops as Michael still moves towards her. From Leah's POV, she looks down as she's now standing on the far edge of the long, thin treatment pool, having stepped off the broken door which she had placed across the pool. Michael was standing in the middle of the door, directly over the sheer drop, as Leah kicks at the edge of the door, trying to kick it. And Michael, as the door and Michael drops into the pool. Michael topples in and falls headfirst into the pool, as we hear a sickening thud. Leah shines the flashlight down, as Michael lies crumpled at the bottom of the empty pool. As he hit the tiles awkwardly, twisted in puddles of water and debris around him. Leah looks around her, lying there in a thick paving slab, detached from the floor. She picks it up, holding it above her head. Quietly to herself, she says, "Some little boys never grow up." Leah hurls the concrete slab down into the pool as it smashes onto Michael's body, with the sound echoing around the cavernous room. Leah pauses for a moment, looking down at Michael, but there's no sign of life as Michael's still. I'm gonna skip a couple pages. We almost done with this. I think there's like 10 more pages.
Yay!
And then we can end this. We can wrap it up a little bit and then end it.
Like,
then we could do the 3D script tomorrow if you want.
I'm doing the other live stream tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's right. After that, wherever the case may be.
Okay. I gotta admit though, despite how long this is, this has been very interesting.
I can say the same thing. Definitely fun.
Yeah. Like, as I say, when we go to do Halloween 3D's script, I might try to do my best to read a bit of it as well.
That one's a bit more easier to read. I mean,
okay.
For sure. It's definitely not written like this. The only thing with the 3D script is that there's a lot of stupid stuff in it. It's more stupid than this script.
Oh God.
Like, trust me. Like, especially if you read the asylum scripts as well. Oh God.
Oh, I'll have to do that at some point.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun with that. Oh God. That's gonna be crazy.
But like, there's a lot of things I do like from this movie. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of things you do get right.
Yeah, like the scenes where
with John,
Freddy's death. I like that. I like
the stuff with John is cool.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember it back now.
Well, you can always reread the script anytime now. You have access to it.
Are you mad?
I mean, you have access to it, isn't it? You can always give it a reread. I mean, once my version of Retribution is out, you can always read my version of the script. Because it's 10 times better than whatever this was. This is like if Michael had a porno with action in it.
Oh fucking
This,
hell.
this is basically what this was.
Oh, like
Anyways,
the weird thing about this though is that there's so much crazy shit that happens, but it sort of works in a weird way, but also doesn't.
yeah, because like it's the way some of these scenes are meshed together. Like if they was to like remove a lot of the extra stuff and fix the dialogue in some of these scenes, this would be amazing.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I can actually picture some of these scenes with the soundtrack.
Well, yeah, soon you get actual visuals of what this movie would be, thanks to it. Because no one has made a fan film based off this story.
Which I'm actually quite surprised at.
And there's only one other fan film that uses John Tate's character, and that's Braden Timmons' The Haddonfield Nightmare.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
golden.
that's a much older version of John. As for his timeline, Resurrection is the canon.
Hmm.
Have you watched The Haddonfield Nightmare?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen it like loads of times.
Yeah, and I love that movie too, despite it not being canon with Resurrection, but that's still really good. And
Yeah,
that version of John's much older than the version that appears in here. Like, but I'm pretty sure John's 22. Wait, he was 17 in H2O, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he should be 22.
oh
Uh,
god, I'm 22.
You're not that much older than me. I'm only 19. Um. Anyways, what page are you on? We on page 93, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me check. We was on 92, but you said you're gonna go past a few bits.
Yeah, I'm gonna go towards the bottom of the top of 94. Excuse me.
Top of 94.
Yeah.
Okie dokie, I'm there.
Cuts to the interior shot of the corridors of Smith's Grove. John Tate and Sarah Brackett are coming down the corridor as they can make out a male voice. As we hear Dr. Loomis off screen. Why won't you talk to me, Michael? John says, what the fuck is going on here? Ahead, down the dark corridor, is a glow of a white light coming from one of the rooms. As Brackett looks terrified, with his hand shaking with the gun. Brackett says, maybe you better take this. I can't even hold it straight. As John puts his hand on Brackett's hand, steadying it, John says, you're the professional, Lee. We hear another voiceover from Loomis as he says, Miss Blakinsmore tells me you used to be a very talented, talkative first grader. So I guess Blakinsmore was Myers' teacher.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Uh, John and Brackett stopped outside the room. Stopped outside the room, either side of the observation hatch. Brackett breathing heavily as he glances at John. John looks into the hatch through the window hatch, and John says, Jesus, there's a girl in there. At once, Brackett swings the door open as gun pointing, pushing into the room. Through Brackett's POV, the projection is shown on the far wall. A young boy is sitting in a chair in front, a wheelchair containing a teenage girl with her head slumped back. Suspended from the ceiling, an axe comes down, swinging straight at them from high up at the end of the room. Sorry, I was just catching. Lost my pacing. Suspended from the ceiling, an axe comes swinging straight at them from the high up end of the room. John slams Brackett out the way just as the axe thuds into the wall behind them. They both look round as the axe embedded in the wall at head height, still quivering. Suddenly, a small figure hurls behind himself at John. a flash of a knife as John Tate catches his wrist. Noah is held by John as he's holding Daryl's hunting knife with his eyes wide. John says, What are you doing? What are you going on here? Noah looks at him silently. John shakes him. Talk to me. Brackett kneeling by the wheelchair as Tawny's dead face, her mouth open in a silent scream. Brackett says, Oh Lord, as he touches Tanya's face, as it reminds him of Annie. John releases Noah as he puts his hand on Brackett's shoulder. John says, John tells Brackett, It's not Annie, it's not your daughter. Amy replies, Are you the police? There's this weird writing there. I don't know how suddenly Jenny's alive if she got killed by Myers. Pretty sure that's supposed to be Amy.
Perhaps it was a typo error or something.
Yeah, and they continued it for the rest of the script. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Amy that's supposed to be talking here.
I'm pretty sure the guy who wrote this was like, oh fuck this
There's
shit.
two writers. There's two English writers that wrote this.
I'm sure they was just like, just go along with it.
Yeah, they're actually comedian writers.
Oh god,
they actually they knew somebody who was close with the Weinsteins, and that's how they were able to pitch this to Mr. Akkad before he passed.
Did this actually get approved by him?
At the time, this was actually going to be the sequel made to Resurrection before he passed. So yeah, this script was actually going to be the actual story.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I know, right?
And people call out Halloween Kills and all that. Yeah, let's not get into that.
John and Brackett turn as Amy stands in the doorway, clutching her chest. Jenny tells John, because you're going to need backup. A lot of freaking backup. As we hear Loomis off screen on the projector. You like hurting people, don't you, Michael? Brackett, as they turn to the projector, they see Loomis talking still. You're very conscientious, Michael. You're determined when you start something, you always finish it, don't you? So how does this end, Michael? I will say dialogue for Loomis does sound very Loomis-like.
Yeah, it does. Do you want me to try to read in a Loomis-esque voice?
I'm not even going to attempt that. I can hear his voice. Like
you're very oh fucking. What is it? How is it pronounced?
I'm pretty sure it's conscientious.
You're very conscientious, Michael. You're the Michael.
Yeah, man, I can't do a Dr. Loomis impression either. So you're not alone on this. If
I tried to do that, I'd probably insult Donald Pleasant, so I'm gonna stop.
As John is looking at the small boy on the screen, Amy questions, "Is it him?" And John nods. Brackett looks at Amy. Brackett says, "You Jerry Shaw's girl army." As Amy nods. Brackett says, "Don't worry, we get you out of here." A noise is heard behind them. They turn, and in the middle of the room, Noah is at the black grate with a screwdriver. John Tate steps up to him and says, "What are you doing? What's going down? What are you doing? What's down there?" And then he says, Amy says, "That's where it goes. That's where it hides." But somehow they know, apparently, even though they never seen Michael use them.
I mean, Michael will just use anything as a weapon.
No, I'm talking about the way, because he travels through the tunnels.
Oh yeah.
They don't know, but like suddenly they know that that Michael uses the tunnels, even though they never seen him emerge from one.
What was going through the writers' heads while writing this?
I have no idea. I mean, this is definitely one of the better unmade sequels. I mean, trust me, when you read the Asylum scripts, oh god, especially when you read the 3D script.
I suddenly dread in the 3D script.
Oh God, man, that thing's. I actually made a sequel to. I have a script that's supposed to be a sequel to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and it has Michael in hell and stuff like that.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's still better than the Halloween 3D script though. Like, oh God.
I'm sure that they saw Friday the 13th Part 3D and thought, let's just make a Halloween like that.
Yeah.
But at least Friday the 13th Part 3D is actually decent.
Yeah, and it has way more fans than Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. So
Yeah.
um, as Jean gets the axe and disappears into the tunnel, it cuts to a staircase, a concrete staircase, as Lee is running down the steps, her footsteps echoing as the flashlight beam darting around in front of her. As she runs faster and faster down the stairs to find the exit, suddenly she drops the flashlight as it clatters down the steps, coming to a rest. To rest. To rest. Two staircases below her. She hurries down after it and picks it up. She looks around her and sees it's shown as the dead end. She's in the basement. As she looks up, she shines the flashlight and she sees the exit sign in the door. Leah runs back up one fight, then the second fight, as she sees the exit door. Suddenly, she stops. Standing between her and the exit door is the shape itself. A moment below her, a moment. Below her is the dead end of the basement, and ahead is the shape, but he's standing by the doorway. She realizes that there might just be space to run up the stairs. Lee replies, "Come on, Michael, it's Judith." A moment, as Michael looks at her, then she slowly raises the butcher knife. Lee replies to herself, "It was worth a try." As if this was a comedy or something. Like, what? Anyways, Leah makes a run for it, up past Michael. But Michael reaches a hand, grabbing her and pulling her by the shoulder over the side of the stairs. Aaliyah screams as she falls over the top of the stairwell and down into the stairwell. It cuts back to Bracken, Amy, and Noah in the storeroom, nervously waiting. As Brackett is pacing up and down. Uh, Brackett looks up and Amy shouts at Lee. Brackett replies, "Where is he?" And Amy replies, "The other building by the swimming pool." As Brackett steps out into the corridor, Amy clutches her side. "I show you." It cuts back to the staircase through Michael's POV as Lee is lying below on the concrete floor of the basement. Lee looks down at her prone body, excuse me. Then he starts down the stairs toward her. Lee lying on the floor as he opens his eyes and feels groggy as she tries to raise herself but can't. Just beyond is the shape walking down the steps toward her. Leah starts trying to crawl away as she starts to sob. Michael walking slowly behind her, following, letting her crawl as Leah continues to sob. Leah gets to the wall as she beats it with her fist, but Michael is just standing a few feet from her, watching curious. Leah screams for help as the shape stands there. Leah starts crawling back in the other way as the shape just starts following her once again, as he's evidently enjoying this like a cat with a mouth. As Leah continues to sob
That is
and
a very
crawl.
interesting description of that.
I mean, that's definitely something he would do. I
Yeah.
mean, when he stalks, he stalks. I mean, like, he likes doing that. So it's definitely Michael S. Um,
Yeah.
Michael blocks her way, and Leah says, "Please kill me," as if giving up. But Michael just stands there watching her. As Leah continues to sob, she collapses onto the concrete floor, beaten and defeated. Michael reaches down and picks her up slowly. He pulls the belt from her jeans, and he lets her fall to the ground once more, face down. Michael about to whip her or something. Um, Michael
I
reaches down. It slides the
I,
belt around Leah's neck. It slowly begins to tighten. This one, you know what? This reminds me of part 5
this
of
is
Friday the
this
13th.
this is like porno shit.
That too.
Oh my god, how much of that is in this film?
I think this is like the last weird stuff in it, and then the rest is just like um
Like I get it, horror movies like that shit, but this is just uh
we almost done though. We got like about 10 more pages.
oh wow.
Reaches down.
Let's
Michael
hope it's
reaches down
over.
and slides the belt around Leah's neck and slowly begins to tighten it. Leah grabs at her neck, trying to pull the belt away. Michael's grip is unshakable. Leah's face is choking as her eyes start to bulge. Michael pushes down towards the metal grate in the concrete as he's not even struggling anymore. Leah's eyes bulging as he chokes. From Leah's POV as he chokes, the mesh of the grate, the dark vent beneath. Suddenly a face appears and is revealed to be John. As Leah looks at him, the strange face beckoning at her, as if another word, as if she sees his hands pushing up at the grate. A glint of metal as he desperately tries to undo the screws with the screwdriver. Lee's eyes try to focus as she reaches out her hand, scrambling at the grate, the belt tightening around her neck. John looks at Leah as his eyes fixed on him, desperately willing her to make one last effort. John Tate whispers, "Stay with me." John desperately trying to undo the screws as Michael's pulling the belt even tighter. All of Leah's strength has been drained away as her eyes begin to close shut. John Tate bangs on the grate as Leah's eyes open again. John making a last desperate attempt to unscrew the grate, but Leah's weight is against him. The screwdriver slips off the screw, sliding up through the grate and ends from Leah's face. Leah grabs the screwdriver. Yes, now. Leah's eyes, with one last burst of energy. Leah's arm swings back hard, plunging the screwdriver up Michael's face. The screwdriver penetrates through the mask into Michael's eye.
Oh, I wonder where they got that from.
Yeah, I wonder where they got that from. Leah rips the belt from her throat as Michael staggers backwards. Uh, John pushes up the gate, opening it as he pulls Leah down through the gate into the tunnel below. As Michael slumps back against the wall, the screwdriver sticking out his eye. Leah coughs and sputters as John puts his arm around her and tells her to hold on to him. Leah looks at him. You know what I also noticed in this script? There's no mention of Molly,
Who was that again?
John's girlfriend from A-Soul.
Oh yeah, now that you mention it.
Caesar Marver's in the script.
As I said, like this is the first draft, so
Yeah, it's kind of weird though, because like these are characters that you should have in this, even if it's like a first draft.
I that's the thing though. Did he pitch the very first draft of Retribution to Mustafa?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyways, as John carries Leah through the dark tunnels with his axe in one hand, Leah tells John that these tunnels go everywhere, and he's been watching us the entire time. As they run through the tunnels, it cuts to Noah walking through the swimming pool area holding the hunting knife, followed by Brackett and Amy as he holds his gun. A door reads marked for fire exit, and the door appears to be open. Michael sits slumped against the wall as the screwdriver is still in his eye, pointing out the mask. That kind of looks kind of goofy, kind of scene there. Footsteps coming down the staircase towards the basement. Slowly, Michael raises his hand to his head and steadily extracts the screwdriver from his eye. Nova comes coming down the concrete staircase, followed by Sheriff Brackett and Amy. Then they get to the basement. Lying there is Leah's belt, and Amy realizes that it's Leah's. They look around as they hear noises. They shout, and Brackett looks down. The sounds are coming. They're coming from the floor below. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
1 second.
Guys are just having a little break for a minute. Oh my god, this Halloween Retribution is Halloween Retribution. Yeah, it's quite something. Jordan Young says, I really want to read this script for myself. Once we are through with this stream, I'm going to put the script, hopefully, in the description if I can figure out how to do that. So yeah, if anyone wants to read the script, then you'll probably get like a docs version in the description below. But yeah, man, Halloween Retribution, you couldn't tell they've had to go through like, they probably would have had to go through a few more drafts in order to get it finished.
Yeah.
How dare you interrupt me? But yeah, like, there's so many continuity errors. There's so many, but like as I stated before, there's a lot of cool things that happen. It's just it really needs tidying up, like massively. I was just chatting while you was
Yeah, no problem. Anyways, yeah, we're almost done. We have about 7 more pages to go.
Woo. Can't wait to get to the end to see what happens.
Well, you already know what the ending is, because that
I can't remember it.
It cuts to Brackett's POV beyond as he sees the shape of Michael.
Oh yeah.
He's shocked. He is shocked beyond belief as he slips, falling into the tunnel. Brackett pulls himself up, holding out the gun at Michael. As he shouts, "This is for Annie!" Brackett squeezes the gun trigger, and we hear a click. But unfortunately, the hammer jams as its rust is solid from years of disuse. The gun is essentially useless. Further down the tunnel, Miles stops and turns to face Brackett, looking at him as he tilts his head to one side, taunting him. Miles just stares at him, as Brackett is still frozen in terror with the gun in his hand. Amy shouts for Brackett to shoot him. As Brackett responds, "It's useless, it's all useless." Brackett stands there, waiting for Michael to finish him off, but Miles is not interested in him, as he destroyed him long ago. Michael turns away to go after Leah and John. As he walks away and disappears around the corner, Brackett collapses on the floor. Leah and John run through the tunnels, and John asks, "Are you okay?" And Leah replies, "I had better days." John can't help smiling as Leah replies with a thank you. John says, thank me when I can get you out of here. I might even let you buy me a drink. Let's go." They round the corner as Leah stops suddenly. John replies, "What's the matter?" Leah realizes that they was going in a circle. They then turn. Suddenly, Miles is standing behind them, holding his butcher knife. As Leah screams, John pushes Leah away from him as he raises the axe to confront Michael. As John shouts, "Go," Leah replies, "I'm not leaving you." As John replies to her to get the fuck out of here. Myers is almost on them as Leah runs. John swings the axe at Michael as the blade strikes the wall off the narrow tunnel. as sparks fly everywhere. Michael steps back. Uh, John says, "I know who you are. I know there's nothing behind that mask." John swings the axe once more, just missing Michael. The axe strikes the wall, clattering from John's hands as John falls to the ground. Michael brings the knife down into John's body, pushing his head down into the water at the bottom of the tunnel. As Leo off-screen shouts, "No!" Michael looks up to see Leah as Michael stands, pulling the knife from John's body, striding towards her. Leah looks at John's lying, motionless body as Myers is coming for her now. She turns and runs. Leah runs up the tunnel, which seems to get narrower and lower, with a small incline. Behind her, she can hear the echoes of Michael's footsteps and his labored breathing. A junction is up ahead in the tunnel as she looks both ways. Hurriedly, she pulls off one shoe and throws it into the large tunnel and runs into the smaller tunnel. It cuts to Michael's POV as he rounds the corner, but the tunnel is empty as Lee is not there. Michael stops, confused. He walks. Excuse me. He walks on. There's a junction in the tunnels. A tunnel leading off to the right and a tunnel leading off to the left. There on the ground is one of Leah's shoes. As Maya starts down the large tunnel, uh, as Leah's heading up a smaller tunnel, she realizes she has to crouch now to get through it. Uh, as she looks over her shoulder to see if Myers is following her. As Leah crawls up along the tunnel, it gets even smaller. As she almost gets stuck, as it's terrifyingly claustrophobic, she waits, listening intensely for any sound of Myers, but there's nothing but silence. She manages to turn in the tunnel, crawling back towards the junction. Suddenly she slips, her head falling forwards over her shoulder as we see a shape coming towards her. Leah looks up and sees it's Michael. Terrified, Leah pushes herself backwards, back up the narrow tunnel, away from Myers. But the tunnel is too narrow. She becomes stuck and can't move any further. As Myers comes towards her in the darkness, Leah is holding her breath as Michael stops, searching out the blackness of the tunnel. He hesitates as Leah continues to hold her breath. Then Michael lowers on his fronts and starts pulling himself up the tunnel towards her once more, using the knife to pull him forward. Sudden terror on Leah's face as he sucks in her breath. As Myers stops 4 feet from her, as he cannot see her in the darkness, with his breathing intensifying, if it's time to smell her out. He edges closer.
This
Leah
is really interesting.
apparently he becomes a dog a little bit here,
Oh god.
trying to sniff his victim out. Like I never heard. When has Myers ever tried to do that?
Like, never.
And now suddenly he does.
I think they're getting confused between Michael stalking and whatever the hell this is supposed to be.
Yeah, cause hold on, I gotta refresh. I lost my page.
Oh no. I believe he was on. Oh crap. 103?
Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. One second.
We've been going for 3 hours.
Yeah, no, and I felt like I haven't even been reading that long.
I know. That's kind of insane when you think about it.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be on here for that long. To be fair, I thought we'd be on like the 3D script by now.
To be honest, I didn't even think we'd be reading the script, so that shocked me.
Well, I had it obviously.
Yeah.
It's cool that you have it now. You finally get to, I wish I had the other version that was mentioned. I forgot who's written that version with Tommy and stuff, but that's definitely a version I want to read as well
Yeah.
eventually.
Oh, by the way, guys, Kamal's stream is not going to be this long.
Yeah, it definitely won't. Um, Ahead is an open hatch in the ceiling of the tunnel. Oh wait, no, I read a little too far ahead.
Tell you what, do you want me to go back onto the stream to point out where it was?
No, I'm back. Suddenly Michael's face is moving forward, fast down the tunnel. The knife scraping against the stone as he goes. As Leah opens her eyes, it's revealed John is dragging Michael's back down the tunnel. Leah propels herself forward as she rushes down the tunnel, stomping on the knife, which drops from Michael's hand. John holds the axe, but the tunnel is too narrow to swing it. As John jabs the flat of the axe into the back of Michael's head, it thudded metal against his skull. Michael slumps as Leah grabs John. Leah tells John to come on, as it cuts to Leah leading John back down the tunnel. His shirt is bloody, and he's obviously in pain. Uh, Give me a second, because I'm reading this from my laptop. I was reading it on my phone, but I gotta charge it. So, uh, Leah is helping John, who can hardly walk through the overgrown tunnel, leading up towards the light. Beyond the end of the tunnel is the soft light of dawn. They burst out the tunnel into a strong moonlight. The blizzard has stopped, and the woods white with snow. Leah stops to look at John's wounds. As John says, we gotta keep moving. Leah leads John into the woods, stumbling through the snow. Blood running from John's side on the white, moonlit snow. A trail of blood staining the snow as Leah looks back down, but no one is there. Leah replies, "How do you know he was here?" And John replies, "He's my uncle." And Leah sarcastically replies, "Nice family." They limp through the trees, weaving between the trunks. Suddenly the ground seems to fall away from beneath them. They hit they hit loose snow, losing their footing, tumbling down the slope. Leah's POV as she falls, trying to avoid the trees, snow flying everywhere. John It cuts to John's POV as he sees Leah tumble away from him. John slides and tumbles, trying to stop himself as he hits a tree with a loud thud and lies slumped at its base. He knocked himself out. Uh, Leah lands in the snowbank as he looks around and sees John is nowhere to be seen. Silence as the woods are still empty. John lies unconscious against the tree still. It cuts back to Leah as she stands up alone in the middle of the woods in empty silence. She's about to call out when she thinks she hears something. A shower of snow falling from the tree canopy, excuse me. Leah turns, but there's no one. Leah takes half a step forward. Her feet sink into the deep snow. She stops, afraid to move in case he makes a noise. John, laying by the tree, as he opens his eyes, groggy. His hands go down. His hand goes to the wound in his side. He tries to stand, but feels dizzy as he looks around for Leah, as well as for the axe, and for Michael as well, and sees nothing. The woods are silent and empty. John Tate starts to stagger through the snow. Leah is standing, silent, motionless in the snow. Uh, it cuts to the snowbank behind them. Slowly, as we focus, we see two black points. Leah is still looking around. Again, she thinks she hears something. She holds her breath, but there's still a sound, breathing perhaps. At the moment behind her, two points of black are shown, and we start to make out something in the snow. It's revealed slowly to be Michael's white mask, which is now becoming visible in the snow as he rises out of the snowbank where he's been hiding, with his knife raised. Leah is standing in the snow. Um, as Maya's arm is raised about to bring the knife down into her back. It cuts to Noah. through his POV, as he's standing in the snow between the trees, desperately, as Noah tries to summon some sound to warn him, his face racked with pain. He opens his mouth, straining. Suddenly, the most piercing scream you ever heard shatters the dawn silence. Um, Lee whirls as Michael lunges. Leah throws herself out the way, sprawling into the snow as she tries to get away. But the snow is too deep as her legs sink into it. Noah running through the snow towards them as Michael grabs Leah by her forearm. Leah tugging away from him. Michael raises the butcher knife once more to stab her. Leah grabs his wrist, frantically trying to stop him from bringing the knife down, with desperation on her face. But Michael's enjoying this. This is a battle of strength. He's gonna easily win. Slowly, he brings the butcher knife closer and closer to Leah's neck. The very tip of the blade touching her white skin. A point of blood appears. As Leah pleads, please. Michael's face, as he it cuts up to him close up with Michael's mask as he starts to push the blade. Suddenly, John off-screen shouts, Michael. Michael looks up and hears him. His head turns to see something hurtling towards him. Through Michael's POV, a blade turning through the air beyond and stands John straight, his arms outstretched, as there's no time to move. The axe spins through the air, striking Michael full in his body as it penetrates the shape's chest. Michael staggers backwards in the snow with the axe in his chest until he tumbles backwards down the incline to the bottom where he lands with a sickening thud. John rushes up to Lee, her body prone in the snow. As he kneels by her, she opens her eyes. He puts his hand to her face. Uh, Leah looks beyond to where Noah stands. As he smiles, Leah smiles back. It cuts to Michael lying motionlessly on the expanse of flat white snow, with the axe sticking out of him. A moment of silence, and from below we see John, Leah, and Noah appearing at the brow of the incline as they look down, while they look at each other. Uh, Leah questions, is he dead? As John takes Leah by the hand. At that moment, Michael stands, with the axe still embedded in his chest. He grabs at it, trying to pull it out of his body. As Leah gasps, Michael looks up at them, defiant. Suddenly, there's a crack, and Michael looks down. Below him is the thin ice that has been cracked beneath his feet, and Michael falls like a lead weight through the ice into the dark water below, disappearing from view. John picks up the butcher knife from the snow and walks quickly down the hill, the others following him. They stop at the edge of the ice. John Tate stand on the icy edge of the butcher knife, ready, keeping Leah to one side. Silence as their eyes locked on the dark hole in the ice. They approach closer. Still nothing. As they hold their breath, Leah finally exhales as it's clear Michael will not return. A violent thud. Suddenly, Leah screams and jumps back. Right in front of her is Michael's face, who is staring up at her through the glassy ice. His dark, lifeless eyes. John Tate pulls back. They stare into Michael's eyes, terrified, but Michael is dead. His masked face pressing against the ice. Brackett appears at their side, breathless, and says, "Is it over?" Leah nods. Brackett goes to the edge of the ice and looks down at Michael's dead eyes through the mask. Black eyes staring through the glassy ice. As Brackett says, "Thank Christ." Smash. A fist smashed through the ice, grabbing Sarah Brackett by the throat, revealing that Michael is still alive. At once, John throws himself at Michael with the butcher knife, stabbing at him. Sarah Brackett pulls himself free as John goes after Michael, pushing the butcher knife deeper into him. Michael falls back into the water with John following. Leah and Noah try to grab at John as he falls with Michael into the icy lake, Aaliyah shouts no. They watch in horror as Michael and John both sink slowly through the water, struggling in a deathly embrace. Brackett desperately reaches in the water, trying to grab John, but he's gone. Leah and Noah pull Sarah Brackett back. They watch horrified as the two men disappear into the darkness of the lake. The dark, empty water through the ice, as there's nothing but silence. Then, very slowly rising in the water's surface, is a body, revealing to be John Tate, with his eyes shut. As his head breaks the water, his eyes open and he gasps for air. Leah, Noah, and Brackett pull John up in the ice, covering him with Brackett's coat. As Leah wraps the coat around him, hugging him tight, she sees something in John's hand, and is Michael Myers' white mask. Leah tells John to leave it. It's evil, but John can't leave it. He clasps the white mask tighter, drawn to it by its irresistible force. A moment as John Tate holds the mask, he stares at it. The dark eyes of the mask, and John Tate's dark eyes. It cuts back to a voiceover from the beginning of the movie of Dr. Hill talking about redemption. Everyone can be reached. No one is beyond redemption. As it cuts to Nurse Spence. You obviously haven't met Michael. And that's the end of Halloween Retribution. That's the end.
I'm shocked for words. That was wow. So that's where the whole Michael freezing in the ice thing came from.
Yes.
And every time they always assume Michael Myers is dead, but oh no, he comes back up.
Yep, and he actually dies finally in this though.
Yeah.
And it's implied that John is the new Michael Myers.
Oh Lord. So it's essentially
they passed under the torch.
It was essentially what they was trying to do with Halloween 2018, but
it was what they was trying to do with Jamie Lloyd and H4 at the end of that, basically.
Oh yeah, that's
basically that. And this is where the series would have ended at, basically.
I wonder if they're gonna do anything similar with Halloween Ends.
I doubt. I hope they don't.
Yeah.
But this was fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Like, as I say, there are bits which felt a bit iffy, a bit weird. Like, why?
A lot of questionable stuff.
If they took some of that out, freshened it up a bit, as you're gonna do.
Yes.
They could have made this a real great sequel to Resurrection.
And the fact...
And I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yes, I know, right?
Like, that sounds weird to say, a great sequel to Resurrection.
This is why I want to bring this story to life. Does the script have its issues? Yes. But that's the power of writing. You can fix it.
Yes. And for some reason, they gave Mustafa Akkad the first draft.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think the Weinstein... Okay, so I do know that Akkad liked the script. Yeah. The Weinsteins didn't like the script. So they there was another version being made. I forgot who it was. There's somebody who's rewriting this, and nobody has seen the script yet. They briefly talked about it in Taking Shape 2, but no one has the script as far as I'm concerned. But it's supposed to be a rewrite of this.
Wow.
But yeah.
Let's move on to Halloween 3D.
Yeah, so that could be, so we can make this like a 12-hour stream, a 9-hour stream.
No, I got stuff to do. I was like,
and I gotta finish working on my version of the Retribution script.
Yeah, thing is, you know, when I first started this, I thought I was going to be taking a look at some of the articles that I sent you, not the entire script.
Well, hey man, at least you have source material.
That is true. And now it feels like I've actually watched Halloween Retribution.
Well, yeah, you watched like a word cut version.
I mean, hey, I can picture it.
I can picture it too. That's why I want to bring the story to life. Without the
Especially the juicy scene with the blood and stuff when oh god, I don't know what
yeah,
that
man,
was.
a lot of weird stuff in this.
Like as I mentioned, I read this script before, but it was like 2016 or something. I couldn't remember it at all.
Um, I didn't read the script, but I remember hearing about it. Like I remember hearing like a summary about it, and it was something I always wanted to like explore because I'm a huge Resurrection fan. Like I love that movie. Like I always wanted a sequel.
I mean, like as I keep saying, I'm not against people who like it. I as like they have their own views and opinions. I'm I like the beginning of Resurrection, and then to me, it's just like a okay movie, you know?
Yeah, because it's definitely not scary. It's like if scary movie and like Halloween was to like
Yeah,
combine itself. That's basically Resurrection.
that is so true.
At least in Retribution, Freddy's character is a bit more serious. There's not really that much comedy besides the weird stuff in it.
But I mean, yeah, he just got fucking murdered at the beginning of the film.
True. That
bit
is really
like an bit like somebody else in a certain Halloween movie, which is literally just before this.
yeah.
The parallels.
One of the versions of Halloween Asylum is worse though, because like I said, he gets Freddy's character gets killed in like the very first for like 5 minutes of the movie, and then Myers gets captured.
Yeah. Can I just say this has been my longest stream?
It has.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad I'm part of this.
Yep. I'm glad you're part of this too. This is fun.
Yep, absolutely. I
Because I
I will
think
return. I'll definitely come back to read the 3D script review or any other script because I have every script like to any sequel you want.
cool. I gotta say though, I do like the parts with the snow and
Yes,
like
I like that too. Even though it's not really that much explained why it's snowing. And my version of the script is, it's caused like the snow is caused by global warming.
yeah. And guys, this actually gives me a few ideas for new concept soundtracks for Halloween Retribution.
I told you, man. I want to shape Stalk's concept for Retribution. I
You
definitely want to
will
hear your
be
take,
getting it.
especially since you could picture like him stalking in the tunnels and stuff.
You know, I actually have a very eerie idea for that.
So I love to hear it, man.
Yeah, so guess we just wrap up here or
But yep, we wrap up.
now I don't know. I'm assuming we're gonna be back the same time tomorrow, perhaps for the Halloween Ends stream.
Oh yeah, should be. I won't be on for that long though, so
Oh yeah. Like it's not gonna be a bloody free. It's not even gonna be a 1 hour stream probably.
yeah, it'd probably be like a 30-minute kind of deal, which
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
okay with because I have a lot of things to do.
Right.
Been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff for Retribution. Like, in
Nice.
fact, I scouted the abandoned asylum we gonna use that actually has abandoned tunnels under it as well. Perfect for the movie.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm gonna be working on tonight.
Well, man, I can't wait to hear that.
Yep. The thing is, through my mind, I'm going through different sound design ideas, but I think I know the perfect one that would fit him stalking through tunnels, let's just say.
Yeah,
Ah,
I could definitely picture a couple things as well.
yeah. Also, the bit I find weird about this script is how Leah and Amy almost change names.
No,
it
it's
Amy?
not Leah and Amy. It's Jenny and Amy.
Oh, Jenny and Amy. That's right.
Yeah, like that whole continuity. There's so many. I just wish this film was more like the continuity was like better in the script because like you have the incorrect birthday. Oh, I actually did skip a scene. There's a scene in this where John visits Laurie's grave and
Oh yeah.
her birthday's incorrect as well.
Wow, really?
Yeah, they get it wrong. Let me see. I pull it up real quick. Because it's towards the beginning of the script. They get her birthday incorrect. 'Cause her birthday's I believe. Let me see. Her actual birthday is February 22nd, 1961.
Oh wow.
Uh, and
I mean,
her
as a
and
Halloween
her
fan, I
birthday
should have known that.
and her birthday in Retribution is Let me find the scene first. I forgot what it is. It definitely, um I think it says June instead of
Whoa,
February.
whoa, whoa. Have you seen what Ghostbusters have posted?
No, not yet. I haven't been on my phone since the stream.
It's called Who You Gonna Call Official Trailer.
Interesting. I think that's just probably going to be a
Oh, it's a
special.
documentary.
Makes sense.
I thought there was an announcement for Ghostbusters for them, but they did that like a month or so ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. Oh, you're gonna check. Oh, did you check that out?
Did what?
You checked the date, didn't you?
Yeah. It says June instead of February.
Right. Well, I think we've both discussed a lot from Halloween Retribution in this stream.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in.
Of course, anytime. I'll be back tomorrow.
Yep, probably same time, same place, just not as long.
Yeah, definitely not as long.
And then eventually we get to Halloween 3D, which is going to be fun.
Yes, the geez.
Halloween Returns, which I read that script before and it actually was quite good.
Yeah, that one actually has the least amount of issues besides Retribution. Like I say, like Retribution and Returns is definitely like the best two out of like all the unmade sequels for sure.
Yeah. And then like perhaps we could go into like if we can find the scripts, we could go into like Halloween 3000 and shit like that.
I have that script. I have every one.
Oh god.
I believe I have the Dennis Etcherman Halloween 4 script as well, where he grows like 10 feet long and stuff like that.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, you don't. It's weird.
But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in into the stream, and we'll be back tomorrow. Peace.
Yep. Peace.